Hello and welcome back to my channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. Let's begin. Chapter 1, Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve. December 24th, 2010. It's Christmas Eve, and we still have school. I mean, what is up with that? But anyway, our holidays start from tomorrow, so I guess it's okay. With all the snow days, school was forced to shut down. The winter halls were postponed and school was extended. I tried to go Christmas shopping, but while we were returning from school, Inoue said she'd love to shop with me, and Tatsuki hesitantly agreed too. So I'm here waiting for them to turn up in my house so we can start. In school today, Yuryu told me he's planning on asking Inoue out tomorrow when we exchange presents at her place. I don't have the heart to tell him she'll refuse. I would have thought that considering Ishida is such a geek and brainy beyond human capacity, that he would have realized Inoue likes Ichigo Kurosaki. Yes, but don't start laughing like I did when she first told me. Inoue was really hurt. But seriously, what does anyone see in that a-hole? The way he scowls or his bright orange carrot-like hair? He's a cocky, egoistic bstrd, and Inoue, sweet gentle loving Inoue, definitely deserves someone like Ishida Yuryu. But she keeps on telling me Ichigo has much more inside him than just his scowl, and he just needs to be understood. I guess, for Inoue's sake, I'd want to believe that, but it's hard to when you've seen him behave the same self-centered way from the past almost 2 years. She told me she's gonna buy Kurosaki, who's incidentally her neighbor too, as well, since he'll be coming to her place, as a formality because no one can say no Orihime Inoue, I guess, not even Ichigo. So I suppose I'll have to buy him one too. Inoue says he likes Shakespeare. Whoa, seriously? Him, like Shakespeare? Oh, Inoue and Tatsuki are here. Exchanging presents. December 25th, 2010. Merry Christmas. My day wasn't that bad, seeing as Ichigo Kurosaki was there. I don't really hate him, at least he's one of those popular guys who don't like to flaunt their popularity. And considering it's his hair that get him that attention, I don't think I want it either. Anyway, Inoue's dating Ishida. When we entered, I saw that Ishida was already there and he was on his knees. It was kind of weird, I mean, he wasn't asking her to marry him, was he? Anyway, Inoue said something and he leapt up and kissed her full on the mouth, so I sort of knew her answer. Rangiku was peeping behind me, her chin on my head, God knows I'm short enough, and was giggling with her video camera on. If this goes to YouTube, I know nothing. Then we entered and Yuryu blushed and Inoue hugged me happily. When I asked her about her liking Ichigo, she told me that she just used to like him, and that having Ichigo as a boyfriend would actually be kind of scary. How true. Ichigo turned up at Inoue's place at around 8, his arms stacked with presents and his face hidden behind the pile. Renji's jaw dropped. Ishida stopped trying to wrench away his present from Rangiku, who fell down on the couch staring at Ichigo. Only Inoue acted like everything was fine. I mean, come on, we're juniors. Seniors like Ichigo do not go around hanging with juniors like us. Of course, Hitsugaya, Renji, and Rangiku are seniors too, but they don't count that much, as they act like 2-year-olds anyway. Merry Christmas, Kurosaki-kun. Inoue cried. All of us just stood there, with no intention of helping him with carrying all those presents for us. I mean, there were 7 of us for whom he had to buy presents, so no kidding. Next thing, he tripped and came tumbling down on me. Okay, imagine an ant standing there as a long giraffe's neck falls on it. That was my first thought when I saw him falling on me. My next thought was he smells nice. And my third was, WTF. He lay there, crushing me to death, and his lips were almost next to mine. Get off! I shouted, pushing him away from me. He was up in a shot, looking away, red in the face. Air. Ahem. Renji cleared his throat as if giving a hint. I threw the nearest thing at him. I think it was a waffle iron. Ow. What the hell was that for? He shouted, but I ignored him. Time for exchanging presents. Ranjaku cried happily, as if nothing had happened. I gifted Inoue a pair of stilettos, she nearly choked me while hugging me, Ishida with a book, Ranjaku with sake bottles. What's the point? Everyone is gonna die, so she might just as well die drinking. Tatsuki with a new tennis racket, Renji with hiking boots, Hitsugaya with ice skates, and Ichigo with a limited Shakespeare collection edition Inoue had recommended to me. His amber eyes went wide and he looked at me. How do you know I wanted those? I shrugged. Inoue told me. And he told me the exact same thing when I found out that he had gifted me a watch I had wanted for 2 months ever since I had set eyes on it. Inoue just winked at me, smiling. Tatsuki bought me sports shoes, Ishida stitched a dress, good at stitching person, don't ask, and Inoue gifted me chappy, and I went absolutely mental, hugging her and laughing like a maniac. Somewhere I heard Ichigo snort and next thing I knew, I was throwing the waffle iron at his head. What the F hell, Midget, he yelled at me, and I just hit him more. Strawberry. I cried. Everyone was sniggering, but seriously, that is a conspiracy against Chappie. IchiRuki. Okay, moving on, Renji gave a Chappie movie set, and Ichigo didn't make a sound, and Ranjaku presented me with some sake bottle she ended up drinking herself anyway. She never finished, just passed out after the 15th bottle. Now you see how much of alcohol she can consume. That's when all of us decided it was time to leave. I think she's gonna stay at Inoue's place since none of us tried carrying her. Renji left with Tatsuki to his place. I think I know what he's planning to do. They'll be alone in his house and he's been thinking of sleeping with her for okay. Too much information. Kicking Ranjaku away from his path, and all of us followed suit, thanking Inoue for inviting us. I hugged her and told her to wish Sora, her brother who's in hospital for chemotherapy because of testicular cancer, a Merry Christmas and handed her the gift I had bought for him, a platinum gold pen I bought with some help from Urahara, Nisama's secretary. Inoue was in tears and hugged me again. Sappy, but sweet. I'm glad, at least, she liked this gesture. I don't have a family, except for Nisama, who barely had time for me ever since Nisan's death from cancer as well, so I know how it feels. From what Inoue says, Ichigo also tends to avoid talking about his family to anyone but probably Hitsugaya. I know Ichigo and I may be different, but to both of us, friends are the only ones we are able to live for. Vacations start. December 27, 2010. New Year's closing in, so I decided to start on my holiday homework, since our holidays are only till the 5th of Jan, talk about unfair. So I chose maths, and naturally I didn't get any of the sums. Bear in mind next time that if you are a proud, overconfident beach like me, do not jump classes. So then I tried calling Ishida, who I call in case of urgent help due to being a victim of new innovations in the study department of the Japanese high schools. In other words, when I get paranoid. Hello. I said, calling his landline. Who is this? His voice was unfocused and distracted. Did I disturb you? I asked, a little startled. Who is it, Ishida-kun? Came Inoue's voice from the other end of the line. Okay, what was she doing at his house at almost 9 in the night? Why yeah, who is He suddenly went, and I heard Inoue giggle nearby, and all these noises, man, I put the phone down instantly. I had been the recent and sole witness of SXL activity between my two very close friends. I don't even want to know. So I sat there, trying to stop thinking about that, and the thought of playing my guitar suddenly occurred to me. At first, it was so tempting. You have absolutely no idea of the feelings of an amateur musician who used to live on her guitar and had not seen it for the past 6 months. Only, I don't think I could. I haven't played my guitar ever since Nisan died and Nisama left to Amsterdam to some shaman tribe to find spiritual happiness. Believe me, it was probably good for him. He was a wreck ever since she passed away, but I honestly expected more from him. Nisama didn't even care about me. He just left me under the care of Urahara, his secretary, and left. Just like that. I had always thought he had loved no matter how indifferent he acted, even if for the sake of me being his wife's only family, but I guess I had asked too much from him. Ever since then, I put my guitar in the storeroom. It's been 6 months. No word from him. Urahara and his wife Yoruchi are still taking care of me and the family business until I finish my education and become ready to head the company like all the Kuchikis have done. Everything's the same. I used to play the guitar because I was happy. Now, I don't think I can find any reason to. December 29, 2010. Okay, guess what? Ichigo Kurosaki is shifting into the house next to mine soon. Aergagaf. I wanna rip my hair out. That a-hole, living next to me. I'll have to bear with the fact that a huge orange strawberry with a stack of hay for brains is living next door. I tell you, I'm one lucky beach. New neighbor. December 30th, 2010, 11:30 p.m. My name is Rukia Kuchiki, left in custody of Urahara Kisuk, my brother's secretary. I'm 15, a little young for a junior. I know how to drive a BMW, happen to own, I live in my own apartment and I have control over the most wayward of friend circles. I can deal with a drunk Ranjaku Matsumoto and I can deal with an oversensitive Hitsugaya when he's bawling about that Momo girl not knowing he exists. I can even deal with an angry Tatsuki who's hitting everything around her because Rinji's done something stupid again, but this is going over the limits. So, I have an idiot of a neighbor Ichigo Kurosaki who thinks it's okay to start playing his bass late at night at a residential area when I'm trying to sleep. I cannot deal with a guy who girls keep on worshipping. And what's up with him banging around like that so late? Okay, I cannot bear that sound any longer. I'm going next door to kick his butt. At least if he wants to play so bad, he should take lessons first. That's like no respect towards music. December 30th, 2010, 1:30 a.m. I found him drunk. I entered his house, the door was ajar, and I saw Kurosaki in his boxers hitting away madly at the base around his neck, singing Jingle Bells. Ichigo. I went. But he just jumped onto the couch and kept on yelling. Ichigo. Are you okay? I was shocked. You bet I was. I mean, you don't find the most popular guy at your school half naked in his house, singing in a terrible voice every day. I noticed he had a six-pack. I don't think that could have impressed me though, considering the situation. I couldn't really blame him for being so loud now, he was out of his mind. If he ever had a mind, that is. He just looked at me with drawn eyes and mumbled Rukia. Swaying his arms and doing a waltz alone, if that's possible. I wanted so much to laugh my butt off. Rukia, dance with me, he said hoarsely and catching hold of my waist, started moving me around when I stopped him. I swear, I wanted to hit him. I shook off his hands, and taking the strap of his bass off his shoulders, I put it lightly on the couch. Rukia. Dance. You're not in your right mind. I said, going over to his closet. I couldn't bear to see him in his underwear like that. Here I said, throwing a dressing robe on top of his head, wear this. He played with it a little while but then wore it and slumped on the couch next to his bass, his head thrown back and eyes closed. My eyes softened. I hate him, I know, but I'm not made of stone, okay? So I put him in bed and he looked at me in this childishly happy way, and said, Mom. I looked at him as he hugged my stomach like a child. Good night. I went, and was out of his room in a shot. His whole house was a mess. Clothes lying around, mangas, leftover pizza, and photographs blotched with tears. I thought photographs were waterproof. They seemed to be of his family, I think. 2 girls of approximately the same age, a hyper, grinning man and Ichigo, standing there, his scowl on his face and hands in his pocket. There were many other photographs, but none seemed to contain his mother. Maybe they got divorced or something. It wasn't until later when I saw her picture stuffed in Ichigo's closet. She looked so beautiful. She had auburn hair, twinkling blue eyes, and an amazing smile. I swear, if I could ever picture my mom in my head, would always get Mrs. Kurosakis from now on. Just looking at her made me so jealous of Kurosaki. What doesn't he have? Popularity, looks, probably brains, a family. What does he have to drink for, that arrogant, self-centered bstrd? I put the picture back in its place because if I looked at it any longer, I wouldn't be able to tee away my gaze. Forever. I cleared Ichigo's stuff, and was out of there. I was tempted to touch his base for some while, but then I firmly shut the door behind me and left. Is he insane? Dancing around in his underwear when it's practically 2 degrees outside? New Year's Eve. December 31st, 11:30 a.m. Ichigo Kurosaki came to my house this morning, and started banging on my front door madly. I rushed over and opened it to find him standing there, red in the face, glaring at me. "Why the hell were you at my place last night?" he yelled. I stared up at him. Just a minute ago, I had been sitting on my dining table drinking coffee. What? I asked, startled. "Why the hell were you at my place last night?" he shouted again. Okay, so that is no way of treating me early morning, especially when I have PMS. Even Renji stays away from me at this time of the month if he wants his 32 teeth in his mouth and not stuffed up his butt. By this time, Ichigo was in my doorway inside my apartment, glaring at me, nose to nose. "You were drunk." I yelled right back, "I just helped you, you idiot." "I didn't want any help, did I ask you?" "It's my life," he shouted. "Yeah, well, why don't you think of moving from a public residency then? I never asked you to come in. Do you look like someone I'd want in my house watching me in my underwear?" So, despite him being drunk, I guess he did remember every detail of last night. "Why didn't you lock your door then? Brains like yours, you wouldn't have missed that." I shouted, glaring at his amber eyes. They didn't look like the warm sun anymore, like they had been when I had looked at him when he had fallen on me on Christmas Day a while back. He went redder. Just looking at him made me so mad, I wanted to barf. Who the heck does he think he is, barging in my house and start yelling at me because I finally cleaned his house and out him to sleep? "I never asked you for your help," he said angrily. Okay, so that really got me. I jabbed my index finger at his chest. "You can see a person helpless and drunk and leave him, but I can't. You stupid strawberry are the world's biggest thankless bstrd I have ever met." I went, taking a step forward at every word, and he was forced to walking backwards to my door. "You think the world can revolve around you, but no one else should but in so you can be the hero. You think you can live all alone and heal yourself, not you know what. Everyone, as well as you, know that you're wrong. You need friends, and you never got any because of your supposed ego dash." I was talking in a low threatening voice, but for once in his wasted life, he looked frightened, and man, I felt so damn good. He was now out of my door, and still staring at me with a bewildered expression. "Now I began in a dangerously fake sweet voice, "I have only 2 words to say to you, FYOU. And banged the door shut on his face. Seriously, what the hell? It's not like I wanted to see him in his underwear, dancing like that and singing in that terrible voice. I have got to re-examine my life, I tell you. New Year's Eve 2. December 31st, 2010, 2:30 a.m. At probably around 7 this evening, I was sure I was spending this new year alone. Urahara and Yoruchi said they'd try to stop by my place, but they weren't able to, and everyone else seemed to have plans. "Hey, seriously, you should come with us. What the heck do you think you're gonna do all alone cooped up in your house like that?" Renji asked me. I rolled my eyes. "I'll be fine, you have a nice time with Tatsuki out there, okay? Well, at least she understands she can't be with you all the time." Tatsuki replied, and turned away after giving me a searching look. Renji raised his eyebrows but said nothing, and went off. Inoue was trying to persuade me to join her and Yuryu, but I didn't want to take a chance after what happened on the phone. And I can take a hint, you know. If Tatsuki is so insecure about Renji, why doesn't she just ask him whether he likes me or not, and once he chokes and refuses, maybe she can calm down. I have no idea what she's been thinking lately about me, because they seem to be of no good. I just never thought she could be the jealous type. So, anyway, Ranjaku was planning on going drinking and Hitsugaya was out of town to his grandma's to pay her a delayed Christmas visit. And of course, Byakuya Nii-sama was somewhere meditating in Amsterdam. I was pretty much getting ready to sing New Year to me and count off the seconds by myself, when at 10 o'clock, my doorbell rang, and I opened the door to find Ichigo standing there, looking kind of sheepish. Hi, he said. Hi. What are you doing here? I asked, come to scream your head off again for cleaning your house. No, not really, he rubbed the back of his head, actually, I just wanted to thank you, Rukia, for that. I was kind of taken aback. No, actually, I was shocked. I just wish I had my video camera right then. So I thought that I make up for you by taking you out for the new year now. What you say? He looked at me, fidgeting with his fingers. Maybe I was just hallucinating this. But this wasn't even worth pinching me for, so I let it pass, and managed to smile. Yeah, okay. I'll get dressed. Of course, I was wearing clothes, but I meant getting dressed in a formal sort of way. I decided on some jeans. I mean, I could no way wear a frock or a skirt. What if an asteroid hit the Earth and my dress flew up to reveal my underwear? You gotta think of stuff like that. Let's go. I said. He was about to take a taxi, but I stopped him. I have a car, let's go in it instead. I said. When he actually saw the metallic black BMW M6 convertible I owned, his jaw dropped. Where did you get that from? He cried. It's mine, you idiot. I replied. No way. I smirked and got into the passenger seat. It's not fair that you have such a beautiful car and no license, just a learner's permit. Of course it took some persuading to give a 15-year-old like me a learner's permit, but money can do wonders. We drove to this posh restaurant I thought Ichigo could not be caught dead in. It was open till midnight, specially for New Year. You brought me to the most expensive restaurant in the entire town, do you know that? I cried. He grinned, it's my first time out with a girl. I gotta have some dignity. Yeah, right. You would think, after dancing in his underwear like that with the most disastrous human sound I have ever heard, he'd have any dignity left to prove Tom me. I ordered some Italian stuff, they all sound the same, and he took ramen. Jeez. What about that Renji guy? He asked me, halfway through the dinner. He's your boyfriend. I choked, and no. Renji's with Tatsuki. The flat-chested chick. I hit him, pervert. What? What are guys supposed to notice anyway? He propped his chin on his hand. I always took Renji to be the guy who slept with girls and forgot about it. Ow. Okay, I get it. What's up with you two then? You basically lack a spine, going everywhere together. I gave him such a loathing look. We're only best friends, Ichigo. I looked down, he helped me get through a hard time. I didn't say anything about Ni-sama or amount of time I has spent crying, with Renji holding me seemed countless, and I couldn't bring up the courage to just say that casually. Before Ichigo could ask me what, there was an announcement. A handsome man with twinkling blue eyes stood up and silenced the diners. Ladies and gentlemen, he said loudly, my dear wife Jane Dash, he gestures to the blonde, beautiful woman sitting next to him, who was glowing, has just informed me she is pregnant. Everyone cheered, and Ichigo, who managed not to pass out from laughing, smirked. The man took Jane's hand and twirled her around. She cried softly, Charles, but he waved her away and started dancing with her on the stage where the guitarist was moving out to make place for them. My dear friends, I order a drink for everyone in this room, paid by me, on account of this celebration, he cried happily. Ichigo snorted, but then stood up, let's go. I don't drink. I nodded, nor do I. After paying the bill, we moved towards Karakura Lake, which was frozen. It was snowing slightly. Even though it was cold, it made me feel warm inside, the fact that I was not alone at the start of a new year. We both got out of the car and stood there on the railing. "You play the bass?" I asked. He nodded, "Yeah. Kinda. I play the guitar. I used to be the vocals for the school band a while back." I said quietly. "It's strange, you know. Ever since my joining Karakura High, my biggest wish was to get into the school band, but after Nisan's death, all I wanted to do was get away, because music reminded me of happiness, and happiness reminded me of her." "What happened?" Ichigo asked. I shrugged. "Things changed, and so did I." "You want to tell me you changed? You can't possibly be bitchy or dash." I struck him with my snow boots, and he went down. "What is up with you hitting me?" I smirked. That made me feel so better. "I'm not gothic or anything though." 19. 18. 17. Came the distant shouts of the crowd, who had gathered around to count off the seconds to New Year. Ichigo and I looked at each other. He quickly got up to his feet, and we ran towards the yells, not caring about the car. 12. 11. 10. They shouted, and we ran together. I could feel the color rushing through my skin due to running in the bitter cod. 8. 7. 6. It was a DMN huge crowd. I caught Ichigo's hand. I was afraid, okay? I mean, you would be you were only 4 feet 9 inches and were about to enter a crown which could stamp you if it moved its legs. 4. 3. 2. 1. 0. Happy New Year, all of us shouted. No one cared whether they knew the person they were hugging and talking to, and it actually felt good. I found myself smiling, but then I realized I had no idea where Ichigo was. "Ichigo!" I cried. My heartbeat stopped for a moment. I don't know why. He had just become a friend. Was I worried about him already? "Way to go, Rukia Kuchiki." Then I heard him call my name, and his hair appeared from nowhere, and I caught his hand, and he led me to my car. Once we had the car's roof covered, I put the heater on full speed and sank into my seat next to him, my face flushed. Man, that was some day. First, I had a fight with you, and we ended up spending 2.5 hours together. He nodded, smiling so lightly I could hardly see it. "Yeah," he replied, "but it wasn't that bad. Maybe we can be friends." I smiled back, "Yeah, maybe." We returned to our apartment building, and said goodnight, and here I am, lying on my bed writing because I can't fall asleep. I never thought my day could have been so distracting. I mean, I actually enjoyed it. I never thought these words would ever pass my lips, but maybe just maybe, Ichigo Kurosaki is not that bad. A letter from Byakuya. January 2, 2011, 7:30 p.m. Dear Rukia. Happy New Year. Wishing you a Merry Christmas as well. I am heartily sorry I wasn't able to contact you any sooner. My soul felt like being alone for some time after his Anna tragically left us alone in this world. I am sure you understand. Oh yeah, sure I understand, Nisama. My soul felt like being alone too, only because I'm 13 years younger to you, I was able to handle it maturely. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too. Time passes so fast, doesn't it? It felt like only yesterday when I boarded the plane to Netherlands to join the shamans with a shattered heart, because I was too hurt to care for anyone else. Care for anyone else? Yeah, like, for instance, your only family left me. Yes, Nisama, time passes fast, because it feels like only yesterday, my heart ripped open at the thought of being left alone. You wanna know why it feels like only yesterday? Because I thought about it every day ever since then. But it's fine. I don't regret coming here. Every day, every new discovery has been delightful and worth all the hardships I suffered through. It's been half a year since I last saw you and the depressed feeling has somewhat subsided, and even though the temperature here is freezing, I can feel the warmth penetrate through me, giving me inner strength. What is wrong with him? Did they brainwash him or what? But of course you don't regret leaving me, Byakuya nii-sama. What does it matter to you if I needed you and you just ran off? Do not try contacting me in any sort of way, I shall send you letters when the need arises. Patience is a good virtue, remember that. I will not try contacting you even if I knew where the heck you are. You're the most pathetic brother I have ever met. I hope to see you soon, dear sister. Yours eternally. Byakuya. Yours eternally, my butt. Anyway, this was the letter I got this morning, without his address written. It's dated a few days back, and it's from nii-sama as you can see. My first reaction at receiving this was happiness, then slowly, I began to get angry. 6 months, and he never found the need to give me a call. Or mail me, though I doubt the cavemen over there know what compact is. He could have even SMS'd me for the very least. How much? Does that take 0.1 minute at the most? Urahara keeps on telling me Byakuya was stupid, but now he has realized his mistake. There was nothing, no Christmas present attached or parceled along with the letter. Yeah, he realized his mistake, didn't he? That's why there was no hint of him telling me he was missing me, but instead how much he was enjoying that new discoveries or whatever that is. I bitterly threw the gift I had gotten for nii-sama in hope of meeting him again for Christmas under my bed. I'm never gonna look at it again. I don't care. I understand, of course I do. His Anna was my sister too. Does he think I'm some kind of indifferent beach who can move on and not care or be depressed over her sister's death because she happens to be my sister and not my wife? You tell me, if the only person you knew to care about you, and love you and be your whole world, suddenly died, and you were left with her husband, your brother-in-law, who, instead of being there through the hard time, left you under the care of his secretary and ran off to Netherlands to the shamans to find his spirituality. How would you feel? I can act like I don't care to people who can't understand, but I can't lie to myself. I know that I miss nii-sama. I guess it was too much to ask of nii-sama to love me. Lightening up. January 3rd, 2011. It's been 3 days since the new year and I couldn't be more set off at nii-sama. And then there's Ichigo pestering me all the time. He came over to tutor me for maths, he's a senior after all. He took one look at my face and meant, what's wrong? It was weird, because I had the biggest smile on my face. I can even fool Rinji with it sometimes. Nothing. I replied. Yeah, and I'll believe you. He fell on the couch. Okay, now explain. Explain what? What stuffed up your butt? His eyes pierced me, I felt like I was being x-rayed. Nothing stuffed up my dash. You're smiling, Rukia dash. So. Why is that dash? You're smiling. I'm just smiling. What's wrong with that? Exactly. You never smile. Okay, so I didn't want that coming out of his mouth. None of your business. I muttered. Yeah, I guess so dash, he said. Looking away. That kind of surprised me. Most people won't stop bugging me until I tell them, and it feels good when that happens. But here was he, not giving a DMN about it. So, stupid as I was, I blurted out everything about that stupid letter to him. Whoa, he said, whistling, your brother's really an a-hole, isn't he? I threw a CD cover at his head. Not because I didn't like him calling that, but because I wanted to ignore that I mean, nii-sama had been an a-hole, hadn't he? I looked out of the window and saw that it had started snowing. Hey, let's go to the Karakura lake. I said suddenly. Are you menal? It's free dash, but I was already out of the door. We didn't drive, but walked our way through. I felt calmed and happy, like nothing could upset me right then. That's the effect winter can have on me. The lake had frozen off course. It was an amazing sight, the town lights were reflecting off it, and it seemed like a big black mirror, with fireflies hovering above. I kept quiet. Whoa. Ichigo breathed, that's quite a scene. I smiled despite myself, and leaned towards the railings. You've never been here at this time of the year? I asked. I have. His voice came from somewhere close to my ear, but this is the first time it felt as beautiful as it looked. I couldn't believe it was Ichigo who was speaking. Hey, Rukia. Emicham. I turned and, click, I blinked, and the next thing I saw was him, grinning, his camera in his hand. You dash. I jumped at him. He dodged, laughing. I don't know what happened next, but we were falling into the lake, the ice broke through, and into the chilling water below, me clinging onto his hand so as to not drown. My whole lower body was numb. We could have died of pneumonia, but hey, we would have lived life at least, if we were to die. We looked at each other in the eye and burst out laughing. Hey, you, came a yell from the railings. It was an officer. What do you think you're doing? That's public property. Sputtering. Laughing, we stumbled out of the water and ran, skidded, slipped until we could hear that guy no more. It was DMN fun, it gave me an adrenaline rush I knew I had need for a very long time. So then we returned to my apartment and I made coffee for the two of us. Ichigo fell and sank into the armchair in front of the fireplace, not caring about his clothes. I had changed, though. That was memorable, he said, his head held back and eyes closed. His complexion was flushed from the bitterness of the cold, and it looked sort of cute. You're not putting that picture on Facebook. I said. He made a face at me, I have better stuff to do. Yeah, right. Anyway dash, he eyed me, kept your mind off your shitty brother, did it? I smiled, guess so. He smiled back. Like, actually smiled, then leaned back, boy, I can't go around cheering you up all the time like this, I might have a backache. I laughed, you're getting old. You know, this Urara's guy's right. Ichigo said, Byakuya did a mistake and realized it a little too late. Do you really think you would have shared your feelings with him even if he had been there? Well, no, but that's beside the point. He doesn't have to love me. Just treating me like a proper sister would be acceptable. I mumbled. Of course he loves you. Ichigo said, smirking, who cannot love you, Rukia? I blushed at that. Cheesy, I know. And a very stupid pickup line. Shut up. He grinned, yeah sure. Admit it, you love it. No, I don't. Just help me with maths, you idiotic strawberry. I said, red in the face. So we spent the next hour beaching about maths. He left just now. I can't believe a person like him who fell on me on Christmas, danced in front of me in his underwear could be given me such a good time. And that I had actually enjoyed it. School starts once again. Stupid, DMN school. I have many reasons to hate it, considering I'm not getting any of the classes I'm in, and that fiasco with Nisama drowned in self-pity he doesn't give a shit about me, and now Tatsuki stopped talking to me. Or anyone else of our friend circle to be more precise. Renji's gone crazy about all this because he's too dense to realize what's bothering her. Of course if I'm correct, then she thinks I'm being far too close to him. But doesn't she understand how much he means to me? He was there for me during Nisan's death and Nisama's running away. Admittedly all I ever did to him when he lent me a shoulder to cry on was punch him because I didn't want to see him cry, but still, the fact that he cared does matter a lot to me. I always call Yuryu for help in homework, up until recently, since Kurosaki offered to help me, and Orihime never minds. She knows she can trust me with him, so why can't Tatsuki? I never imagined her to be the jealous types, of all the people. But just to make sure that Renji was completely clueless, I went over to him and asked, hey, Renji, you like Tatsuki, right? He stared at me as if I had gone mad. Rukia, are you okay? Answer the question, idiot. Of course I do. What kind of a question is that anyway? I shook my hand and went away. Well, it's nice to know he's so faithful. Or dumb. Now, Tatsuki's been seen hanging out with these group of soccer jocks led by the captain of the school soccer team Grimjao Jaggerjok, or whatever his name is. She met them during her tennis practice after school where they were doing their soccer practice for no apparent reason. Apart from being dumb, Renji is also really angry. I can't believe this. What's wrong with her, he kept on saying. She seemed out of order for a lot of time. I replied as I was taking out my bio books and he his chemistry ones. He's never in any of the AP classes where the sophomores and seniors study together. You're just too busy gazing at her all the time to realize it. Then what did I do wrong, he asked me in a rage. I've always told her I love her, then what's the problem? Did you promise her a diamond ring then? I joked. I thought it not wise to mention her jealousy towards me because I knew his first reaction would be to yell at he for not trusting him. That I did. I punched and he broke out laughing nervously. Just then Tatsuki chose to pass by us in the corridors followed by this Gael Quiora, who looks like he's crying coke all the time. She gave me this dirty look and laked by, ignoring us. Now, I'm starting to get angry. First she starts suspecting me and then goes and hangs around other guys and expects her boyfriend to apologize to her. What is she playing at? January 5, 2011, 5:00 p.m., Wednesday. That was unexpected. So I was walking home with Inoue, Ishida, and the others when Ichigo comes running up to me, grabs my arm and speeds off, me running at his heels. I kept on yelling at him and asking him what the hell happened, but he said nothing except that there's an emergency and he can't find any taxi who'll agree to go to the South Karakura where he needs to go, and it's a 3-hour journey, mind you, and he can't wait for the next train at 6. He needs a car and since he needs one he goes, "Can I please have your car?" I agreed but I told him I was coming with him. Not because I thought he'd ruin my BMW, but rather because just then, I looked at him in the eye and he looked really scared. As if the world was about to come to an end. I was able to calm him down cause he was trembling all over and sweating endlessly and then I asked him what happened. "Mi-Isai Yuzu," he stammered. "Yuzu? My sister." That was the first time he mentioned his family to me. "What happened to Yuzu?" I asked in a calm voice. "She got by a car, god damn it." Ichigo yelled, starting the engine abruptly and beginning to drive madly. "Stop asking so many questions. Ichigo. Stop your driving too fast dash. Who gave him a license?" But I can understand, since it was his sister. But then didn't his family live near his place? I had many questions in my head, but I kept quiet. There's lots of time to ask them. Right now, I think he needs time to clear things in his head, so maybe I should let him drive and almost kill us. I'm still in my school uniform, and I have my bag with me right here. I'm glad my diary is here but then, it's with me almost everywhere I go. It's pretty clear that Ichigo and I won't be attending school tomorrow, and probably not day after that either. We arrived at South Karakura at 7:30 p.m., thanks to Ichigo's insane driving and almost crashing into the emergency ward at the hospital. We burst inside the room after asking the receptionist and I saw the same man and bored-looking tomboy I had seen in the picture a while back while cleaning Ichigo's place. And the soft-featured little girl Yuzu, she lay there breathing deeply and not saying a word. I froze at the sight of her tiny form wrapped by bandages on the head, arm, everywhere. She had some 3 fractures, many bruises but was stable at the moment. "Ichigo." Mr. Kurosaki leapt and sent a kick flying at Ichigo's direction. "Dad, is this the moment?" Ichigo yelled. "Never let your guard down, lad. And I would think that after what you did, you deserved it. Oh, and who's the little lady?" He looked at me with a completely changed expression. "My worthless son's girlfriend." I went red. "She's my best friend, Dad, and my neighbor and schoolmate. Lay off her." Ichigo replied in a bored voice. "Best friend, that sounded nice. Ah well she's too good for you anyway dash." That's alright Mr. Kurosaki. My dear, call me Ishin. He smiled, then turned to Ichigo, I'm glad you answered my call at any rate. It's the first time you did so. Did you know Yuzu was injured already? No, you stupid. I wanted to talk to you, I'm not such a cold-hearted BSTRD. Ichigo said, then turned to look at Yuzu with tender eyes, is she okay? Ishin's face turned serious, I don't know, son. They can't tell until the next day. She's stable for now, and that's more than what we can hope for. Turns out Ichigo's dad is a doctor. They have a clinic down at his place. That's it. Ichigo said firmly, I'm staying. Rukia, you go ahead with the car, you have a learner's permit anyway. No way. I said. I wasn't leaving him alone. I'm staying with you, if you don't mind. He looked at me, but what about school? You're missing school aren't you? I said fiercely, the least I can do is be there for an idiot who stole away my car. He smiled at me. And I couldn't help noticing that it was a true smile, not the fake ones he gave his friends. So I'm staying at the Kurosaki household. Ichigo's other sister, the tomboy I was talking about, Karen happens to be Yuzu's fraternal twin. I was supposed to sleep with her but somehow Ishin kept on making excuses until the only room with no dripping ceilings or monsters hiding under the bed was Ichigo's. Honestly, Ishin Kurosaki is an antique piece. Ichigo offered me his bed, but I insisted on sleeping in his closet. Sounds crazy, I know, but it's surprisingly warm and snuggly. I bade him good night and started to write down in this diary. It's kind of odd, Mrs. Kurosaki not showing up at the hospital. I mean, even if they are divorced, a parent would rush down to the hospital at the news of one of their children getting hit by a car, and by her picture, Mrs. Kurosaki seemed to be exactly like that. But still she was nowhere to be seen. Which really leaves only one possibility, has she passed away? It's a really unfair and unimaginable thing to think of, but I can't JRK off the feeling that there's no other explanation. And what Ishin said earlier, about Ichigo not picking up any of Ishin's calls, what is up with that? I woke to the sound of yells coming from downstairs. That every morning. Ichigo shouted. No, I do not, since you, my dear idiot, left US without not a care in the world. Oh, my poor Masaki, our son doesn't love US anymore. Shut up you dash. For a moment I didn't realize where the heck I was, the yesterday's events came flooding back and I realized I was staying at the Kurosakis. Why are they bickering? I groaned, it's only 7. Karen entered Ichigo's room and came to me, they used to do that every day because Dad woke Oniai-chan up with a kick. I swear I began missing it when Oniai-chan left. Okay, so I still don't know what exactly happened that Ichigo left, and these people think that I know it already. And thanks to me I haven't still asked Ichigo, considering I think it's his family matter and I shouldn't butt in. I've noticed that whenever his dad talks about stuff like these, private stuff, Ichigo gets this weird look on his face and glances at me. Not like he wants Ishin to stop talking about it in front of me, but more like he's guilty he didn't tell me about this himself beforehand. The Kurosakis are a little out of order, but I feel so jealous when I look at Ichigo and all of them talking, laughing, even eating each other's heads off. I'd give anything to have a family like that of my own. Oriheim called, asking me why I hadn't attended school today. I told her I was ill, and she went, oh, that's awful. Do you want me to stop by and get you your homework assignments? I told her not to. Then she asked why Ichigo had suddenly dragged me away the previous afternoon, and I made up something lame like he had wanted to show me a chappy sale. She actually believed me. Then Renji called and the same conversation was repeated except for the Ichigo dragging me part, when out of nowhere he said, hey, did you know? Ichigo didn't come either. Is he there next to you on the bed? Give him the phone and I'll dash. Shut up. I cried and hung up. I don't need to go in details but all of my friends called me. Ichigo tells me only Renji and Toshira took the pain of calling him and that he told Toshira the truth, instead of saying he had gotten kind of injured while saving a kid from a random gang like he had told Renji. I stared at Ichigo. You told Toshiro the truth. He shrugged. Toshiro knows everything about me, and strode off. Arrogant bstrd. 6:45 p.m. Urahara called and was screaming at me about where the hell I had been for the past 24 hours. Technically, it's been 25¾ hours, but he didn't find it funny. My house was locked, my car was missing, nobody knew where I had been after school, I hadn't entered my house since that morning, blah, blah, blah. I told him everything truthfully since Ichigo told me it was okay to until and unless he kept it between only himself and IchiRuki, which he said he would. We paid a visit to the hospital and Yuzu's getting along much better. She was conscious for around 1 hour, then slept again. Isshin stayed back and Ichigo, Karen and I returned to do the cleaning and have something to eat. 2 a.m. Oh gods. Oh God, I can't believe what happened just now. I can't. I feel so confused and happy at the same time, and there's this constant jumpy feeling in my stomach that's not going whatever I try to do. So I just awoke to the noise of thrashing around and groans. I burst out of Ichigo's closet to find him tossing and turning in his bed, murmuring, and his face filled with beads of sweat in the moonlight that entered through his bedside window. Mom, I am sorry, no. Mom, he cried, his voice breaking. I felt my heart melt at the sight of him. It wasn't fair. What was happening to him? I softly nudged him. Ichigo. It took me a while to wake him up, but then he slowly opened his eyes and looked at me, startled. What are you doing here, Ruck? What happened? You were dreaming, I said calmly. He sat up and buried his face in his palms and said nothing. We spent a long time like that, with me kneeling at his bedside, looking down. Rukia, he went softly, putting a hand on my arm. I was wearing Yuzu's nightsuit, so it had sleeves, unlike my own. I raised my head to look at him. I don't know how it happened next, but he sort of tugged at my arm, pulling me towards him and gently put his lips on mine, his other arm caressing my back gently. My eyes went wide. I could feel myself going limp in his embrace, but argh. How do I explain it? I was shocked, but I didn't want him to pull back. I wanted to remain that way forever, under the moonlight. And what was he doing? Was he just too sleepy? Because I knew for a fact that I was not. He then backed away and looked at me with tender eyes. Will you stay with me tonight? I don't want to get nightmares like those. I don't know, but I just nodded dazedly, and right now I'm in his bed as he snores lightly and hugs my chest like a child. I'm gonna wake up early tomorrow so Isshin doesn't have to witness us in the same bed, or hell knows what he'll make out of it. Do I like Ichigo? I mean, I liked kissing him, but this is just too confusing for me. I think I'll go to sleep and try to think it was all just a dream. My son's not a version anymore. Not the ideal words to wake someone up. A good morning is just too normal for these guys apparently. I was pretty sleepy since the incident last night, but I couldn't sleep till 5:30 in the morning, I think, so yeah, I could doze off till the end of the days. I could smell Ichigo next to me. My face was buried in his chest and he had an arm around my back protectively as he shouted at his dad in the lowest volume possible, "Shut your mouth, you'll wake her up." Ah, how cute. He was worried about his dad waking me up, but didn't even care about what his dad was saying. Wait, what, did I just think that? What is wrong with me? I can't like Ichigo Kurosaki of all the people. Every other girl likes him, so that means I should not. And at the same time, I could feel myself sinking in his embrace. I could stay that way forever, breathing his scent deeply. He smelled of strawberries and musk in a nice way. I could feel his six-pack easily through the thin shirt, and whoa, I can't believe someone like me could feel so much towards a guy. What's happening to you, Rukia Kuchiki? Kuchiki-san, you made my son's life worth living. You made him dash. Get out. And Ichigo, Getting up from where he lay hugging me, he gently untangled his arms around me. I swear it took me all of my strength to resist telling him to never let me go. What is happening with me? I'm supposed to be an independent, kick-butt woman. High school girl, I mean, and slammed the door shut. What's wrong with him? I opened my eyes groggily. Ichigo looked startled. You're awake. No kidding. He looked away, cheeks pink. He saw us in the same bed. And why is so happy about it? What do you mean? Normal parents ground their kids at seeing them sleeping with the opposite section. Well, in case you haven't noticed, my dad's far from normal. Silence fell in between us, and I blushed at the memory of last night. I wanted to ask him so badly about that kiss. So then I opened my mouth and was about to say something like, Ichigo, why did you kiss me? Lame, but I'm not the best person in these matters, so give me a break. When he went, Yuzu was discharged this morning. This morning dash. I looked over at the clock. 2 p.m. I jumped off the bed. It's 2 in the bloody afternoon, Ichigo. Why didn't you wake me up? You looked sleepy, so I let you sleep. He shrugged. Well, what the hell were you doing in bed with me till 2 o'clock? I just blurted it out, okay? I wasn't thinking. He blushed furiously. I woke up at around 1:30 myself, but then when I got up to leave, you pulled at my sleeve and sort of mumbled in your sleep to stay. Oh gods, I had done that. I could feel the heat creeping up my face and I looked away. He smiled. Yuzu's at the clinic. Normally they wouldn't discharge her so early, but since Dad's a doctor they thought it'll be fine. She's doing great. She's been awake all throughout the day. Wanna go see her? This was probably the first time Ichigo had spoken 4 statements to me sounding utterly ecstatic, on 9th heaven or something, so I agreed. We went down to the clinic. Here come the lovebirds. Isshin cried, eyes shining. Which reminded me that he thought Ichigo and I had section. Oh God. We had been fully clothed while in bed, but hey, that's just a minor setback, isn't it? Yuzu lay on the bed, bandaged, smiling sweetly. She had such a striking resemblance to her mother. I mean, she didn't have strawberry blonde hair or big blue eyes, but her expressions, just her smile reminded of Masaki Kurosaki, whose poster covered the entire wall of the clinic. You're Oniai-chan's girlfriend, aren't you? She went in a low voice. I went red at her words. Ichigo coughed loudly. I smirked, kind of, yeah. He coughed even more, and my smirk widened. Well, it's nice to meet you. I hope you make him happy. Of course she makes me happy, Yuzu. That's why she's my girlfriend. Ichigo replied, smiling. He was pink in the face, but looking completely, I dunno, smiling-ish. He's never smiled so much before. My eyes went wide. I felt the heat creep up my face again as he smiled at his younger sister and Karen snorted, bored. Isshin was busy jabbering off to the poster of Masaki Kurosaki about grandchildren. Yuzu smiled, I'm sorry I can't help with the cookin' dash. Don't worry, I'm taking care of it. Isshin cried proudly. Yeah, right. I've had my meals here and they're even worse mine. I've come down to eating toast because that's the only burnt thing that's actually edible and tastes good. Oriheim called me today and cried, Kuchiki-san, where are you? I thought of coming to your place to give you some of my spinach bean paste soup for your health, but your house was locked. And then I thought of giving it to Kurosaki-kun, but he was gone as well. I waited for you to come back, but none of you did. Are you okay? Honestly, that's the one thing about her I can't tolerate, wailing all the time. And spinach bean paste soup. Is she sure that wouldn't make my so-called illness deteriorate? Inoue, I'm with Urahara right now. As for Ichigo, how do I know where he is? But aren't you ill? And isn't Kurosaki-kun down with injuries? She said innocently. He's fine, I'm fine, I'll talk to you later, bye. I went in one breath and hung up. I haven't picked any of my friends' calls since then and Ichigo tells me he has had his phone switched off since yesterday. I'll try to get him all alone to ask him what the hell he meant by that kiss. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. As for Inoue and her drabbles, I'll come up with some stupid story later. I got to talk to Ichigo, but only for, minutes, but I'm really happy. No, he didn't ask me out, but we almost kissed. That counts for something, right? Since Yuzu's been back, we've had lots of work to do. Isshin's looking after her all the time, and Karen had some inter-school soccer tournament today and went and all the house chores were left up to me and Ichigo. I grabbed my chance when Karen had been gone for her match and we, Ichigo and I, were alone in the kitchen preparing lunch. I was washing the rice and he looked down at the recipe for the thing we were making. Okay, I know we were making only rice and some stupid vegetable, but we needed to have the right proportions. We couldn't risk a bad meal now that Yuzu was here. What if it gave her a bad stomach ache? Having bones broken and several fatal injuries is enough. Hey, Ichigo. You told Yuzu I was your girlfriend. I began. He blushed, but didn't look up from the recipe book. Yeah, but you started it. That's because I stopped. What if he didn't remember he'd kissed me? I kissed you, I know. He finished, going redder. My eyes were wide, you remember. He looked up and stared at me, so, I'd kiss you and forget about it. How does that work out? And no, why did you do that? I asked in a small voice. He looked at me as if I was crazy and dense. Like he's one to talk. Why does a guy kiss a girl, Rukia? He asked in a matter-of-fact voice. Because he likes the girl. Maybe I am stupid. But how could he like me? He can have any other girl from the entire school. I don't have anything, I don't even act like a girl. I go around in loose cargos and when I have a zit I poke at it until it looks like I had a fight with an alley cat. I've never applied any makeup, except that one time when Ranjaku gave me that dare, in my life. But most of all, I'm not even beautiful. I'm short, plain, flat and ugly. He blinked up at me, what? That's when I realized I'd said the last part out loud. I flushed. You're not ugly or plain. Maybe flat dash. I aimed a punch at him and he dodged, laughing. The point is, Rukia, you're beautiful. I went redder. I'm not Inoue. She has everything. I muttered. Which is kind's true. She's got a brother who loves her, and the chemotherapy is working, looks, brains, well, academically she's good, but she doesn't have much of a common sense, popularity. She's like this female version of Ichigo, only he's slightly smarter, I have to say. Ichigo smiled and came closer to me, and instantly my heart began to beat wildly. He put both his hands on my shoulder and said quietly, Inoue doesn't have me. You do. And he bowed his face down slowly. I could feel his breath tickling my lips. I just wanted to close the gap. And right on cue, I heard Isshin call, Rukia-chan. Can you please come here, Mo? I jerked back. Ichigo looked away, red in the face and mumbled, I'll look after the rice. Go ahead. And I went to greet dear Isshin, feeling bitter. He had to interrupt right then, right? Rukia, I wanted to talk to you. He said with a genuine smile as I entered the clinic. Yuzu was sleeping. Yes. Do you love Ichigo? He asked me bluntly. I went pink. I dunno. Isshin frowned, but you're dating him, aren't you? And I blurted out everything and told Isshin the truth, everything except what had happened in the kitchen right then. He paused, then laughed after I had finished. You both are in love, but can't confess. How typical. Just don't repeat it to him. I muttered. No, I wouldn't. Isshin said, smiling. I began to get up. Is that all? Well, actually, I wanted to thank you, Rukia-chan. He went. Thank me? For what? Lending Ichigo my BMW? I doubt Ichigo would have cared even if I had refused. He would have probably crashed into my house and stolen the car keys, since he's such a family person. You would think he wouldn't live away from his family in the first place. You might not know it, but you've changed him, Rukia. Ishin said. You made him realize the value of a family. I don't know how, but for the first time in 3 years, my butt of a son picked up my call and talked to me because he wanted to. Okay, a little sentimental. But I couldn't help smiling. You're welcome, Ishin, I appreciate it. I said and left for the kitchen, but Ichigo didn't make a move on me this time. I could feel the sadness in me, but well, I guess I gotta live with it for the time being. I mean, he tried to kiss me, didn't he? Then Karen returned and I didn't have any time to talk to him at all. I just returned to his room, because I'm sleeping in his closet, and he's either really tired and dozed off or he's faking sleep. Either way, I can't go shake him in case he is actually asleep. Tomorrow we return to Midwest Karakura. It's only been some 3 days since I met Ichigo's family, but I've grown to be really close to them. They really are a happy bunch, if you ignore the enmity between the father and son. 3 days. Whoa, everything seems so small in maths. A lot of things happened today. First of all, me and Ichigo got tea up early so we could leave for home. Yuzu is much better now, and is getting better still. Bye, and thank you for returning home, son. Ishin said, in one of his normal states, as he hugged Ichigo, then hugged me and whispered in my ear, and as for you, Rukia-chan, Ichigo's head over heels for you so don't mind all that crap he says. I went red. Yuzu smiled at me. Take care, she said. I smiled and hugged her. Then Karen casually sit by, but finally got overwhelmed by emotion and hugged both me and Ichigo. They gave us our Christmas presents, I don't know why, but I guess they really did think I owed him and all because I was presented too, with a digital camera, soccer ball and a chappy plush toy. And we got into my BMW and Ichigo started to drive. It was quiet for some time, then Ichigo said quietly, thank you, Rukia. I owe you so much. I smiled looking out the window, it's okay. That's what a girlfriend is there for. He looked at me, amber eyes wide, girl, friend. I smiled at his face. He looked amazed, it made me have a fluttering feeling inside my stomach. He smiled, then looked in front of him, with a sad expression, I'm sorry. For what? You ought to know everything, Rukia. I just picked you up from the street, demanded to have your car and got you here, if it was anyone else, they would have thought I was crazy, he laughed. I've met crazier, I admitted. Finally, he was about to tell me something. My mum, I loved her. She was the one who always listened to me. My dad once told me that I was named Ichigo so that I could protect the one person I loved. In that case, I thought, I wanted to protect my dash, he choked a little, she died when I was 9. In a car accident, saving me. That's why he had freaked out when he heard of the accident. I mean, he would be anyway if someone told him his sister was on her deathbed. But maybe he was getting paranoid, I would be. What if what had happened to his mom would happen to him? I couldn't help having this sinking feeling, I had guessed it, but I didn't want Masaki Kurosaki to be dead. It was my fault. Stop being stupid. I said. No, it was mine. I shouldn't have, I just ran out on the road and she shielded me, Rukia, I couldn't save her, he looked at me with blank eyes, nobody blamed me, but I couldn't shake off that feeling inside me. I started being locked up in my room, and having short conversations and snapping angrily at everyone. I hid myself away, Rukia. I got scared. That's how I feel. I don't even belong in Nisama's life. I felt like such a burden, even if he never said I was. And no one could persuade me out of it because it was all in my head. Then, when I was 14, Yuzu had another accident when I was with her. I pushed her away at Teehee last time, but I had the feeling that I wasn't able to protect her. I had let her come in danger. It was my fault, and I felt like I wouldn't be able to bear it if something happened to them again because of me, so I ran away. I had my own mobile till then, so Dad kept on calling me. He even tracked me down and sent me cash every month, but I never contacted him. You ran away. I stared at him. He was such an idiot. Are you mental? You think you're the only one suffering? You never imagined what your family went through? Dad and I had a fight. He said I was being stupid, but I told him he didn't understand. Ever since then I've been living far away from them and going to Karakura High. Recently when I moved next to you, he got to know of my address somehow. I think it was Toshiro who told him. Hitsugaya. I looked at him surprised. He nodded. We used to be friends, until he moved to live here. When I ran away, I went off to his house. I think he contacted my dad. I'm really sorry. I said. He shook his head and concentrated on driving. We were not in any hurry like last time, so we had started at around noon, but stopped at a cafe for a lunch and were going slowly. What happened to your sister? He asked quietly. I looked out at the window. It had started snowing. She was diagnosed with cancer last year. Nothing worked. She was given 6 months, but she passed away on July 7th, only 4 months afterwards. I felt it okay to cry in front of him, when I had never done so before in front of Renji. He was about to hold my hand and reached out when my phone rang. Ichigo went back to driving bitterly while I fumbled with the press button. Urahara's voice filled my ears when I picked up. Rukia, you got another letter from Byakuya. I shot up from my seat and hit my head on the roof of the car. Ichigo jerked me down irritably and lip-moved the words, "Who is it?" I put my mobile on speaker so he could hear and asked, "What did he say?" "I'm sorry, I read it when it's addressed only to you dash." "It's okay." I cried, "Just tell me." I might be angry with Nisama, but getting a second letter from him within a month when he had not contacted me for 6 months. He says he's coming back. Urahara replied. I almost dropped the phone. What? He says he's coming back on the 12th from the evening flight. He wants to be there for your birthday. I was in tears again, but happy ones. He had cared. It sounds stupid of me, but I had wanted him to love me like his own sister even when I never believed he ever would. But it was true. He was coming back. I cut the phone after talking for some more time, and then both me and Ichigo laughed, and kept on laughing till we almost ran into a truck on the highway. Then we returned and toasted to Yuzu and Nisama coming back. Only we didn't have any alcohol because apparently Ichigo sworn he wouldn't have any after that accident when I came over to his place and put him to sleep. I don't regret it though, except having to see him with his pants off, which I would give anything to forget, unlike many other girls. We became friends from then on, and I can never forget or want to forget that. Now, I'm his girlfriend. I think so, at least. Whoa, I can't believe it. I saw that Urahara had stuck Byakuya's letter on my front door with duct tape. I opened it and read it along with Ichigo. Dear Rukia. 6 months I haven't seen you. It's been a wonderful experience here with the shamans, but now I suppose it's time I came back to you. We all miss Hisana beyond our wildest imagination. These tribes have made me realize how much I need to be with you. Can you forgive me? There are wonderful flowers here at the Netherlands, as far the eye could see. Most of all are the cherry blossoms, that remind me so much of the 2 women I treasure most in my life. I will come here with you someday, you will not regret it. Your birthday is coming up, and I have a lot to do here, but I would never miss it for the world. There is no point in wanting to make my arrival a surprise. I have forgotten the roads of Karakura, and I want you to be the first person I see when I come to the airport. I hope you will be waiting for me. I land in Karakura Airport on the 12th of January on flight number 268 at 5 o'clock. Hope to see you there. With love. Byakuya. I had to cry and Ichigo laughed at me and I hit him. The next thing we knew, we were laughing so hard our stomach was aching. I have never laughed so much in my life. He wanted to make dinner, but with my past experience with the Kurosakis I decided it'd be better if it was me. What the heck dash, he said, pushed me down on the couch and ordered some takeout. He struggled to hold me still while he paid for the stuff because I wanted to pay for my share. Idiot strawberry. So after eating, we watched some sci-fi crap he liked. To get back at him, after that movie was done, at around 11 in the night, I put this high school romance movie, sappy and mushy stuff I know he hates and I hate too. But, you know, just to get back at him. It was worth watching him trying to snore and shaking him awake every time he dozed off and watching that completely sad expression he had. Anyway, I told him I didn't like it either once it was over and he yelled, "So you made me watch that 3-hour crap for nothing." Geez, how can he even start to think I'll ever like stuff like that? But as I said, it was worth it and I pushed him out of my door, laughing. Pissing him off makes me so happy. Me and Ichigo were attacked with questions about our whereabouts and why we had been absent. Kuchiki-san. Orihime wailed, squeezing me to death. Where were you and Kurosaki-kun all weekend? I was so worried. Amidst all that had happened yesterday, I had forgotten to make up a story to tell them. Kurosaki, you told me you got into a fight with a gang. You seem fine to me. Ishida said, eyeing him. Yeah, he had to say that in front of everyone, right? Ichigo looked away. I was out of station. You heard me wrong. I heard you wrong. Man, Ichigo's bad at lying. Hey, you told that to me too, that you got beaten. I didn't hear you wrong. Renji cried. He told me he was out of station, Hitsugaya said quietly. You heard him wrong, Renji. He wanted my car, I said hurriedly. Why? What happened to the local train? Renji snorted. We couldn't wait for the next 6 o'clock. I practically yelled at him. We? Did I hear you say we? Renji smirked. I would have pounced on him and done some serious brain damage if it hadn't been for Ichigo, who said, my sister had an accident and I needed to get there. His voice was calm but at the same time, dared anyone to ask more. Everyone froze. No one's ever heard him talk about his family before. Well, except Hitsugaya and me. I'm sorry, man, I didn't know I just Renji rattled off. You didn't have to hide it from us, you know. Ranjaku said, pouting, you got me all excited thinking. You two were in bed. And whose fault is it having such a perverted imagination? Is she okay? Inoue asked as Yuryu pushed his spectacles up his nose. I didn't like the way Ichigo smiled at her. It was platonic, I know, but still. She's fine, thanks, Inoue. Hitsugaya patted Ichigo and they went off to their classes along with Renji and Matsumoto. You were there with him? Inoue asked me in awe. I nodded. Yuryu smiled knowingly at me. I don't want to know what he thought. It's not that bad to be back at school. I'm just really disappointed at Tatsuki. She's spent every living moment with Grimmjow and his jock friends, completely ignoring all of us. What have the rest of them done? She's only angry with me, right? Renji's beside himself with anger. There's this rumor going around that Tatsuki and Grimmjow are dating. And she hasn't even broken up with Renji. What's wrong with her? 12:30 p.m. lunch. With a bad start. I don't know how it happened and I don't even know why, it seems completely pointless. Yuryu, Inoue, Hitsugaya, Ranjaku and Ichigo are sitting here around me, trying to make things normal while Renji paces back and forth furiously nearby. I don't believe this. I just don't believe that Tatsuki Arisawa, who used to be my best friend, could say those words to me. It all started when Renji tried to get to her to talk to him. I was waiting by the corner so after he was done we could go for lunch, when she appeared out of the history classroom, ignoring me. Renji jumped into action and blocked her way. Hey, Tats dash, but she had slid from the corner and resumed walking like nothing had happened. He looked shocked, then rounded up on her again. Tatsuki. She looked at him coldly, yes dash. I had never heard a voice with so much contempt in it. Except for Nisama's. Renji stared at her, Tats, you okay? And why will I not be? Because you're being too friendly with Dash. Oh, so now you decide who my friends are, she asked, her eyebrows raised. Renji was starting to lose his temper. Look, I don't know what's wrong with you Dash. No, Renji, I don't know what's wrong with you, she said angrily. Her voice echoed off the walls of the corridor and everyone was starting to stare now and form a group. I decided to stay where I was. My face wouldn't help ease her anger. You first ask me out then run off with Kuchiki, she said loudly. My blood went cold when I heard her say those words. I actually slipped and fell as I was making my way towards them if it wasn't for Ichigo who came striding by and caught me by the waist, followed by Inoue, Ranjaku, and the others. What's happening? He asked, eyes on Renji, scowling, setting me on my feet. I told them what had happened. I'm not running off with her. Renji said, his face reddening with anger. There was quite a crowd now. Rukia's my beat friend. That's why you laugh with her, hang out with her and spent all your time being involved in every other thing she's doing. Tatsuki yelled back. I was starting to get angry myself. Renji and I had barely hung out anywhere for quite a lot of while. And besides, Renji was my best friend. Wasn't he? I don't like her. I like you. Renji said angrily at Tatsuki. Well, try proving it to me once in a while. It's been hard with you living every moment with your dear soccer friends, hasn't it? They looked like they were going to punch each other. They would have easily, considering the kind of violent people they are. And I barged into the fight, the stupid that I am. We're not couples Tatsuki. What the hell are you saying? Don't you trust him at all? You mean I don't trust you, she taunted. First she'd called me Kuchiki instead of my first name and now. What did they do to you? Brainwash you or what? I said in disbelief. God knows I don't want anyone else brainwashed. Nisama is enough. They actually put some sense into it. Tatsuki shouted back, you're a boyfriend stealer Kuchiki. I can't believe this from you. So she loved Renji so much she could hate me for it. How flattering. Not. That's enough. Renji yelled in rage. He strode forward, quivering, Rukia's my best friend and anyone who can't understand it doesn't understand me at all. Tatsuki looked frozen. He put a firm arm around me. I don't think a girlfriend who suspects me of cheating on her deserves me in the first place. I was white. Shocked. Affection was flooding through me for Renji for defending me, but I couldn't believe he was saying this. Without another word, Renji was out of there. Everything seemed to be on pause as people started to move out, murmuring to each other, but I had no trace of where anyone was. I think I vaguely saw Tatsuki being comforted by her newfound friends out of the corner of my eyes. Grimmjow even looked proud of her. That complete BSTRD. Ichigo came up to me and gave me a one-armed hug. It seemed to do me good as I felt his warmth rush through me. Let's go find Renji. Quietly, with Oriheim crying again and Yuryu comforting her, we made our way to the first place we knew Renji would be. On the terrace. And he was there sitting, head in his hands. Abaraikuin. Inoue cried, running up to me. I joined her and sat next to him. He looked at me with a hard, confused stare. He seemed blank, devoid of any emotion. As if he felt nothing had happened, or that every day had happened and nothing was left. Wordlessly, he leaned forward as to grant me access to hug him and I wrapped my arms around his neck, hugging him tightly while he just sat there, his arms hanging by his side. I'm sorry. I said. He shook his hands, I don't want her until she gets a mind. I know he only said that to put me at ease. He misses her. This was exactly the reason why I didn't want to tell Renji why she kept on throwing me dirty looks. At least Nisama's coming tomorrow. He must be boarding his flight right about now. I think so. Why can't my life be not filled with drama? I'm just a teenager who wants a life, but to whom God gifted a package of angsty DVDs instead. Is that too much to ask? Apparently, yes. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't believe this. After all that had already happened, now this. I feel empty. What did I do? Isn't it enough? After finally believing that I was going to be a normal family with my brother-in-law returning after 6 months, I can't believe this is happening to me. I don't want to cry, I hate to cry like this while Ichigo holds me. I don't want to show him I'm weak. But what am I now? I'm officially under Urahara's custody, because now I don't have any other family. Byakuya Nisama's plane crashed somewhere along the sea due to unknown reasons. There are no survivors. So far. And they don't expect any. It crashed in the sea after all. I feel ruined. When Urahara called yesterday to tell me, I thought I was going to shatter. I just stood there, waiting, stupidly, for Urahara to tell me he was joking. But he never did. Ichigo was watching TV nearby, but the noise of the baseball match, everything, it seemed so far away, so distant. When Urahara actually said those words. Rukia, I'm sorry. Byakuya's just. Flight number 268 is down. My mind froze, and the phone dropped from my hands as I stared into nothingness. Rukia? Ichigo called uncertainly. I looked over at him, slowly turning my head. I knew I wore the same blank expression Renji had worn what now seemed so long ago after Tatsuki's outburst. I felt myself swaying, losing control. Rukia! Ichigo cried. I saw everything around me slide as he jumped up from the couch at me. There was a noise of breaking glass, and everything went black. I dreamt of walking a road last night. A road which seemed attacked, like a battle zone. There was an eerie silence when I caught the sight of a figure. It walked towards me, and I realized it was Nisama. But his eyes, they looked shocked, an agape mouth and I dunno, he looked so pale. He looked at me with haunted eyes. I screamed and woke up. Was a dream, came Ichigo's yell from close to me. I opened my eyes to find him on top of me, holding my wrists tightly as I lay on my bed. It was just a dream, okay? He breathed heavily and got off me, pink in the face. You want something to drink? I shook my head. I felt sick. My head ached, my heart ached, everything ached. I burst into tears. I didn't care if he saw me, I could kick his butt afterwards. Right now, I just buried myself in his chest as he wrapped me in a bear hug. Hey, I heard what happened. Urahara's been calling like crazy. Rukia, he said softly. I was soaking his t-shirt, but he didn't care, only held me tighter. I didn't even want to notice when my heart skipped a beat. I didn't want Nisama to go. Stupid as I am, I still don't want to believe. I want him back. I sobbed, I don't want Nisama to die. What can I do now? Why did he have to come back now anyway? Couldn't he just wait for another 6 months? Why now? Rukia, I know Everybody seems to know. I screamed, throwing myself away from him. Everybody seems to understand, then why is it that I'm the one who loses everything? You're not the only one, he began, but I interrupted him. He couldn't mention his mother now. His mother's death was nothing compared to this. I lost my whole family, he just lost a mother. He stared at me, eyes shocked. And that's when I realized that I had just said all of that all loud. I can't believe I had said that. I feel sickened with myself. What's wrong with me? The next thing I knew, I had flung out of my bed and thrown my alarm clock against the wall with all the force I had got. I just wanted to hurt something really badly, to know that I was not the only who was hurting. Rukia! Ichigo cried, alarmed. I tried to throw more things, but Ichigo tackled me down. I struggled hysterically for a long time, punching, hitting and kicking every part of him I could get. I heard him grunt in pain as I punched his jaw, but he didn't let go of me. And then out of nowhere, his lips crashed on mine. I felt my heart ache more. He had pinned me to the ground and was kissing me right then, and yet it hurt to know he had just did it to shut me up. I mean, hadn't he? My tears slipped between our lips. I tasted the saltiness until he softly kissed it away. I just let everything melt. I don't care anymore. He released me finally and looked into my eyes. I'm pathetic, aren't I? Everyone I love is so far away from me. I looked away at the snow-clad grounds out the window. It suddenly occurred to me, it was morning. I rounded up on Ichigo, you aren't at school. Of course I'm not, Midget, he mumbled, still relaxed on the floor, head facing the ceiling. You think I could leave you like the crap you are right now? Reminding of which, get back to bed. I don't want you having a cold, I'm gonna end up taking care of you anyway. Geez. My eyes softened and I hugged him, ignoring the continuous ache in my heart. What the dash, he said, taken aback. Thank you, Ichigo. Thank you just so much. He hugged me back, you idiot midget. I just wish it'd stop hurting so much. I woke up this morning because I had been getting nightmares again. My eyes opened and I looked at Ichigo straining me once more, because I had been screaming and hitting things in my sleep. Calm down, he said, his warm breath falling on my face. It's okay, I'm here. I felt nauseous, itchy. I fumbled before turning away and throwing up. Rukia, he cried and carried me to my bathroom where I threw up some more. I don't even know what's wrong with me. I had a high temperature, but now I was throwing up. Was that a classic sign of depression? It takes a lot for me to find humor in this, you know. My head ached so bitterly I felt like it'd be better to rip it off and throw it into the toilet and flush it. I thought of how it'd feel to be inside during a flush, or in plane about to crash. That just made me more dizzy and sad. Urahara, Inoue, and Renji called, Ichigo told me as he rubbed my back calmly and held me hair out of the way while I was throwing up. I said nothing. I could actually feel his anxious gaze at me, and it felt so good to know someone was worrying about you. That someone was there to worry about. Urahara wanted to pay a visit, but I said it won't do you any good. I felt grateful. Even if Urahara is nice, I just want to be left alone for a while. This pain, it's not Urahara's to share. It isn't Ichigo's either, but there's a difference between someone whose mere touch can make you feel better and someone who can't cheer you up even after knowing you ever since you were a little girl. Ichigo is that guy to me, who can make me feel better just by being there. I have never felt this way towards Renji, or anyone else in my entire life. I told them all you were sick and just needed some time alone. Ichigo continued. See. He knows exactly how I feel. Ichigo. I whispered. I don't think I had the energy left to talk, take me back. He cupped me in his arms and carried me to my room bridal style, where he set me down in my bed. Stay there. I'm gonna go get you a glass of water. Nisama and Neisan's face flashed in front of my eyes, but my head ached so terribly I couldn't even cry anymore. Ichigo returned with the water which I gulped in 2 seconds. You want me to make you something to eat? He asked me. I looked at him. I felt kind of better. So much for what water can do, something edible. I asked. He narrowed his eyes at me but smiled a little, feeling my forehead. I've never seen him smile like that. It made my heart hurt even more as I felt his cool hand touch my forehead, which was well beyond a 100 degrees. You're burning. He took my temperature. 103.9 degrees. Sheet. I'm calling a doctor. I held his wrist. No. Not now. He stared at me. Not now. Then when? When you're on your deathbed. Just not now, Ichigo. I squeaked. I can't believe I've become so vulnerable to such an idiot like him, sometime else, just not now. Please. I just want to be alone right now. He smirked, too bad I'll still be there to pester you. And then out of nowhere, he popped out a brightly wrapped package from behind himself, like in cartoons, and said, smiling, "Happy birthday." I couldn't believe it. Today was my birthday. At first, I felt like hiding under my covers and never coming up again. Nisama was dead, what was there to celebrate? But then I looked over at Ichigo's face and how he seemed to have tried so hard to make it a happy thing for me for a change, and I couldn't help but smile. He doesn't deserve to be troubled by someone like me who can't get over her depression, and doesn't seem to appreciate him. You remembered? I said, tears welling up in my eyes. I've been crying so much lately, but he never seems to mind. He never looks like he's pitying me, rather like he's proud of me for not hiding it all. I feel like myself when I'm around him, and it's so nice to feel that way again, because I used to feel that way only around Nei-san. You give me really less credit, Rukia, he said. I hit him softly. He'd remembered my birthday when I had forgotten it. I don't even remember telling him when it was, only that Nisama was returning to celebrate it with me. I guess Urahara or someone must have told him. He is amazing, isn't he? I opened the box he had gifted me and found myself staring at a diamond necklace. A real diamond necklace. I was shocked, ecstatic, blank, so many emotions were running through me as I stared at it, holding it up. "Do you like it?" Ichigo asked. "Where did you get all that money?" I gasped. He rubbed the back of his head. "I was saving that up, and well, Dad helped." I was choking. I am pathetic, why do I have to cry all the time? "Hey, didn't you like it?" he asked when my eyes started becoming moist. Like it? Like the only birthday present that had touched my heart, not because it was a piece of jewelry but instead because of the person who had gifted it to me. I loved it. It's beautiful," I whispered. He smiled and took the necklace, which had a small diamond pendant, and placed it on my neck. Then he gently pushed my hair out of the way and fastened it at the back of my neck. I don't think I had the strength to hug him so tightly he might die and never let go of him, and I guess he knew it, so he hugged me himself and told me to take some rest. I thanked him again for the necklace. I still can't stop touching the pendant. It must have cost a mini fortune for him, and he hadn't cared at all for the money. I just woke up from an hour-long nap. I'm too scared I'll get all those nightmares to go to sleep again. I feel better enough to write like I am right now. I know my headache is going to return as quickly as it went off though. I haven't felt so sad and so happy at the same time. I'm ashamed I can smile when Nisama's passed away not more than 2 days back, and I'm ashamed I still feel so sad when there is this one person who's trying to make me happy, and won't stop at anything to make me feel that way. I really like that strawberry idiot, don't I? For less than a month of friendship, we sure have come a long way. What do people see in that a-hole? I remember saying that in one of my earliest diary entries. Maybe that's what I used to think, but now, I couldn't have been more glad to have met him. Yeah, sure, all he can do is PSS me off. But he seems to be the only person who's ever made me smile since Nei-san's death. He killed me. Ichigo almost killed me when he got to know I had been writing in my diary in a high fever. I'm writing right now because I feel a lot better that I've been left alone, and well, because he's gone out grocery shopping. Orihime, Hitsugaya, Yuryu, Ranjaku and Renji visited, but when they saw I was in no mood to be cheered up, they gave me their presents. I still can't believe I turned 16 today, and left me in Ichigo's hands. I was also tackled down by Ichigo, who finally called up a doctor when my temperature raised to a 104.7 degrees. I was given some antibiotics which I'm supposed to take for the next 5 days. Of course I'm not in the mood to be cheered up. Well, I can't be cheered up. Don't they get it? They try so hard to make me happy, it irritates me, because I can see right through it. With Ichigo, I just feel happy. They're supposed to be two different things, right? I know they are. Ichigo tried getting a cake, but after I'd thrown up again, he dropped the idea, saying his money would go to waste because I might end up puking it out. Seeing him act his usual way oddly does make it normal around here, but it's like every small minute I look at him, this pang of jealousy shoots through me and I suddenly get annoyed with him. He has a family, he has people to whom he can run away to whenever he feels like he wants to start again. Why is that? Why him and why not me? And then I feel so completely disgusted with myself for thinking that way, because I know I have him. So I might just have everything he has, if I have him, right? Right? January 15th, 2011, Saturday. We had a fight. I still can't believe all those words that I said to him. I'm just in shock. It started with him showing up in my bedroom and going, feeling better. No, I croaked. He sighed, Rukia, I've been meaning to say that this depression thing, it can't go on for too long. I stared at him, with eyes wide. Depression? I was not depressed. I guess I knew it all along, who was he to take care of me all the time? It had been my fault for mistaking he was ever even close to any family that I had ever had. He was just a best friend, or probably boyfriend, but I'm pretty sure that has been a joke from the very start. It's been 3 days, Rukia, and your fever hasn't broken, it's rising like anything, even with antibiotics. He said slowly. So what? It had been only 1 day since I started taking said antibiotics. And really? It had been 3 days already. Nisama's been dead for 3 days. This is not normal, Rukia. He said slowly, come on, you have to go out there. Move on. I was bitter. He wasn't one to talk about moving on. He wasn't one to talk about anything concerning this. He ran away, it took him some years to get back to his family, I didn't run away. Well, to be honest, where could I run to? That fact just made me grow angrier. You don't have to care. I said slowly, I can take care of myself. He stared at me. I didn't want that, I wasn't the wrong one here, or that's what I thought right then. Rukia, you're taking me in the wrong way dash. What other way should I take you? I asked, my voice rising. My head was aching, I had been in bed for 3 days and I hadn't even realized it. You can't stay here crying all your life, he said. His voice was rising too, but I didn't care anymore. Crying. That is why I never show myself to anyone, because afterwards they tell you off. I had been crying because I liked it, didn't I? I didn't happen to lose everything that had meant to me. Oh no, of course not. I'll do what I want with my life. I actually found the strength to shout at him. I don't need you telling me, Ichigo. And move on. Look who's talking about moving on. He stared at me, what the hell is wrong with you? All the bitterness about Nisama leaving me, his death, Neisan's passing away, about Urahara, who wished me a happy birthday in this ecstatic voice like as if nothing had happened, about Tatsuki shouting at me, blaming me, everything got me that minute and I forgot myself. I'm fed up of everybody. I'm fed up of everyone telling me everything's gonna be fine, that it's okay. I shrieked, kicking off my covers and getting up, what do you know about me? I tell you some stuff about my life so you think you know me? I went through stuff too, he yelled back. I guess I had finally gotten to his nerves, but at that point of time, I felt pleased. Pleased that he was finally over taking care of me and was shouting back at me, somehow, I guess I only needed to yell out all that anger and frustration at someone. I was glad we were fighting. Yeah, poor little boy lost his mommy. I laughed. I actually laughed in this high-pitched voice. Yeah, of course you went through stuff, Ichigo. The only difference between us is that you actually have a perfect life with no mother in it, but an entire family. Big deal. For a while, he looked like he would come straight up to me and give me a tight slap. I even wished he would as I came to realize what I had said, that was twice I had insulted his mother now. He glared at me, but then he closed his eyes, opened them and walked out of my house without another word. I guess that's what hurt the most. To know that he didn't hit me, that he didn't fight back, because honestly, I would have felt so much better if he had just reached out to me and knocked me straight out. I felt like I deserved that punch he didn't give. He just walked out. And he's not come back ever since. I stood there, feeling blank for the second time in my life and wishing that Ashton Kutcher would jump out from somewhere and yell, "You just got punked." But that never happened either. I touched the diamond necklace around my neck. I felt so alone. Which is dumb, because I've been that way from the past 6 months, there was no point in realizing that now. I felt hot tears spring up in my eyes, but I wiped them away. I was not crying now. I feel pathetic, but I don't want to worsen it by crying and admitting I'm that weak. I'm not, you know. I'm just stupid. I woke up this morning, burning with fever, only to find Ichigo wiping my brow with a wet towel. I was too shocked to say anything. He was here, still here, after everything I'd done and said to him. This warm sensation flooded through my stomach. I wanted to stay there like that forever, but then he stood up. "Ichigo," I began. But he said nothing. That's when I saw his expression. It hurt to look at him. He looked like he did to so many of the girls who flocked to him. He looked blank and that he didn't give a damn about me, only my fever. I didn't want him to treat me like any other girl. I wanted him to treat me like he always did, like I was the only one who made him smile, like I was special to him. I wanted him to treat me like I was his best friend once again. But who am I kidding? I've ruined those chances. With a plain, "Your tablets are on the coffee table. Take care." He went out of the door without giving me a second glance. Again. Silence. I just stared out the window at the snow outside. It must have snowed last night. The brightness and the light the snow was reflecting hurt my eyes, and I felt tears swimming in my eyes. I am pathetic, crying like that. I want to apologize to him, but I don't know if I'll be able to say it out loud and not break off in the middle and start yelling out stuff at him again. That's what's so different between us. I can't even trust myself to go up there to him and say sorry because I know he'll do something to piss me off unintentionally, and we'll end up fighting again. The thought strangely made me laugh. And that's how I realized how much I am dependent on him. More than Renji. More than probably anyone. And that's saying something, because I'm a very independent person. You must know that by now. And well, I don't really blame him for walking out on me. If he'd said things like I did for his mom for Nasan, I would have done more than just walk out the door. It's the first time I saw him want to control his temper. It's just too hard to let go right now. Or to do anything else for that matter. Renji, Ishida, Hitsugaya, Inoue and even Ranjaku have been calling endlessly. They must really miss me, seeing as Ranjaku never calls me unless all of her 159 friends are busy or unavailable. What the heck is wrong with me? January 17, 2011, Monday, 8:00 p.m. My fever's broken. Well, my temperature is around 99 degrees still, but that's good enough for me. But I felt sad, depressed and murderous, so I decided to stay home from school if I didn't want any accidents happening. I stayed in bed, watching TV or ordering pizzas. I didn't get up at all the whole day except for the restroom. Again, my friends are not letting me live in peace at all. And I haven't picked any calls from any of them. Not to mention, Ichigo didn't call at all. I can hear him practicing his bass next door. It's funny, I completely forgot that he lived next to me, and not with me. After Yuzu's accident, and now this, I've grown so accustomed to sleeping in the same bed with him. Yeah, during my fever he stayed in bed with me until I fell asleep. It just felt too comfortable to know that I wasn't alone, even if I was. Ichigo didn't go to school either today. I could hear some glass jars shattering as he swore out loudly all throughout the morning next to my place. He was trying to make breakfast. I couldn't help smiling as he yelled around. It sounded unbelievably cute for some reason. And speaking of his bass, he doesn't play that bad at all. I guess the last time when I heard him play it so disastrously was because he was drunk. I feel loads better. 6 days since Nisama's death, and I think I'm finally coming back to reality, you know. I owe Ichigo a lot. More than I think I do. January 18, 2011, Tuesday, 6:05 p.m. The airline company of the plane that crashed gave us a huge amount of money, like they have to all the families of the victims of the crash. I told Urahara to donate the money somewhere, we have enough money as it is. Nisama's death seems a matter of the past now. I feel very lightheaded today and so I went to school, and everyone attacked me with questions. Why hasn't Kurosaki-kun come? Oriheim asked anxiously. Ichigo didn't come today either. I guess he wants to sort some stuff out or something, because he can't be depressed over me, it's not worth it and he knows better than to do that. Nevertheless, I did feel disappointed to know he was absent. I had really wanted to talk to him. I shrugged, I don't know, in no way. I'm sure he's fine. I added with a smile. Renji jumped on me as he came running to us from the senior class that had just been dismissed. I'm glad you're back. Why didn't you answer any of our calls? Yuryu asked. I told them I was too sick. Is Kurosaki okay? Asked Hitsugaya, giving me a knowing look. I nodded, but then I looked him in the eye, and he understood I meant the exact opposite. Tatsuki was with Grimjow and his people as usual. At first when I came to school, everyone was staring at me. I guess I had to be the center of attention, I was the reason why Tatsuki broke up with Renji in front of half the student body, and I had recently lost my brother, famous businessman Rukia Kuchiki. Of course they had an interest in me. But the most shocking thing was when we caught Tatsuki and Grimjow making out in the fire escape on the 3rd floor, where not many of the students except our friend circle used to go. Renji was hard to contain, it took all of my, Yuryu's, Toshiro's and Matsumoto's strength to pull him back and not knock Grimjow out. We pulled him out and backed away in a corner so that Tatsuki and Grimjow wouldn't notice us. Grimjow is pretty hefty, and he has his friend Jocks who look DMN strong. The last thing we wanted was to get into a fight with them. And if Tatsuki thinks kissing Grimjow is the right thing, then let her do it. She'll realize her problems soon enough. Now that I'm thinking a little clearly, all of us have our own problems to deal with, and Renji is the one who's more hurt than he could possibly ever be in his life. Although Tatsuki didn't look like she particularly liked kissing Grimjow, more like she wanted to make herself enjoy it. Well, I don't care anymore. I found myself not caring much about anything today actually, except for Ichigo and his absence. It's good to be back to school with all my friends. Everyone except for him, the one person I really want to get back in terms with. And so, now that I think I'm better and have a comparatively easier and normal life, there's one last thing I need to do. Ichigo didn't answer my knock, and well, I wasn't expecting him to. I rang the bell a million times, knocked forever, but still no answer. I guess he'd seen me through the peephole sort of thing that stuck on everyone's doors and didn't want to open it for a beach like me. It won't be very surprising. Ichigo I called through the door, loud enough so he could hear me, and so could half the building. I know you don't want to see me, and I can understand that. No one in the right minds would after what I said. I guess I knew I didn't deserve someone taking care of me all the time, it was a new feeling, and I snapped out at you and I forgot myself. I didn't want to, I really. My voice trailed away. The speech I had spent hours making was a wreck, I didn't know what I was saying anymore. It sounded just so DMN stupid. And I just stood there, thinking of what to say. My brilliant speech was out of my brain, I didn't remember one word of it and I knew he was listening because he hadn't bothered to muffle out his footsteps. I felt pathetic, to be honest, how was I going to apologize now? I didn't know how to use heavy words at random, it's not my thing. I took a deep breath. Did I really want to apologize? Of course. I mean, 1 month spent with a guy you don't know, and suddenly it turns out that that 1 month was the most beautiful 1 month of your life. Despite everything, Tatsuki, Nisama, Urahara, despite everything I wouldn't mind playing it over and over again. I'm sorry. I yelled out as loud as I could, fists clenching. My voice echoed all through the corridor and I felt the color rushing up my face. It was hard to say sorry, believe me, and to mean it at the same time. I wouldn't be doing this for anyone else, I tell you, except for him, that idiot Strawberry. I'm sorry, Ichigo. It is my fault. I seem to be running away from everyone who are trying to help me. I was stupid and still you put up with me, and all I gave you in return were harsh words about your family. I don't know why I did that. I think I started trusting you too much and believing that I could throw out my anger on you and you'd understand. This was hard. It was surprising how words were forming in itself and how I still remember every word of it, somehow. You suddenly seemed the only person who was there, who didn't care how or who I was as long as I was myself. I guess I went ahead of myself to irritate you when I saw that my normal self wasn't annoying you at all. I sent a meek laugh. It's shameful how he can make me feel so vulnerable. I was selfish. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for saying all of that about your mom and everyone. I was jealous. I was jealous even when I had you. I looked down. I didn't want to believe it. He'd still not opened the door. I was still standing there talking to a closed door like a mad person. The people going up the stairs or waiting for the elevator were staring at me. I felt so humiliated, but it was my one chance at trying to get Ichigo back, and I would take it any time, any minute of the day. I'm sorry for everything. Tears were forming fast, but most of all, I'm sorry for letting you down, Ichigo. I can't even dream of ever doing that again. Why wasn't he answering? My fists clenched and my voice was rising. I know you, and I want to know you again. I'm sorry, and if you don't answer now then I will kill you, you thick-headed idiot. I cried as loudly as I could, squeezing my eyes shut tightly. Well, that was it. I'd said it, and now I was supposed to go back to my place and feel good about how I had not given up and at least tried. I figured that out since he didn't open the door and there was complete silence around the corridor, while I stood there in front of his house like a stupid. Still. Oh, I hated him so much. What was I thinking anyway? He wouldn't forgive me so easily, he just wasn't that type of a guy. And then suddenly, the door opened and he walked out, orange hair clouding his eyes. I was holding my breath, for some reason, as I looked up at him, eyes wide. I don't know what I was expecting him to do as he finally looked at me. His eyes were serious, and his face had that same scowl he wore all the time. He looked stiff, and then moving forward towards me, he engulfed me in a hug. I was shocked. His expression hadn't changed, he still looked serious and blank, carefully hiding what he was feeling, but I hugged him back, a small smile forming on my lips. He smelt amazing, and he was so warm, just so perfect. I had missed him hugging me, even if it's been only around 3 days. I really missed that touch. He then backed away, narrowed his eyes at me and then gave me the biggest smile he had ever had on his face and laughed. You idiot midget. What? You made me stand here shouting words at you while everyone stared at me. You're gonna pay for this. I yelled back, a tick mark on my head. He smiled, and I made him take me out for dinner for everything he forced me to do. Stupid Strawberry. But I couldn't have been happier to have him back. I am going to kill Ichigo. He ruined my perfect weekend plan. Forget about all that I said about how glad I was being back in terms with him. That a-hole ruined my life by insisting that I come with Ranjaku and them and spend my precious time hanging out in pubs. I'm not even of legal age to drink, how am I supposed to enter? But when I said that, Ranjaku just winked up at me and said, not all pubs ask for ID cards, hon. I knew it was a bad idea. That's what happens if you start liking Ichigo Kurosaki and can't live without him and have to make up to him, Kuchiki Rukia. Wah, I don't like him. Slip of tongue. Anyway, it started over lunch when Ranjiku was telling us about her weekend plan. I'm gonna try out that new pub this Friday, she squealed. Anyone want to join me? All of us pretended we were deaf, when all of a sudden, Ichigo went, that's a good idea. We stared at him like he was someone we didn't know. Even Inoue had that sort of expression, which is saying something. Man, you alright in the head? Renji went, his gaze finally tearing away from the ground where Tatsuki was playing soccer with her friends, and staring at Ichigo instead. Ichigo nodded, why not? Are you mental? Yuryu suggested. Toshiro sat there, his arms folded, staring at the sky pointedly. Kurosaki, what did you have for breakfast? Thank you. Ranjiku interrupted heatedly, it's not that bad, you know. Renji snorted sarcastically. Ichigo smirked, Rukia and I will be coming. Hey, wait a second dash. I shot up from the tank I was perched on top of and looking down at them, who says I am? Me, Ichigo replied. And since when your statements matter? I said angrily. He shrugged, since you became my girlfriend. My jaw dropped, that was a joke. I cried in disbelief, and anyway, you still don't have any right to decide what I do. I am not going partying with Matsumoto. Yes, you are dash, he said, his smirk growing wider. Oh, this was so bad. I knew he had something planned. Something he'd do if I didn't agree. What if I'm not? I challenged. Then I'm going to tell everyone about things. Renji sat straight up, what things? He shot at me. How the hell was I supposed to know? Just then Ichigo gave me the eye. He would make up a story or something, I knew it. He was going to get back at me for making him pay for dinner last night. He told me, you owe me one when he paid the check yesterday. And I'd replied, ha. As if. What things? Renji insisted. Nothing, I'm coming, I stammered, and Ichigo looked pleased and put an arm around my shoulder, that's more like it, Kuchiki-san. I muttered and elbowed him in the ribs. Be more careful with your boyfriend, he wheezed, and that only made me kick him more, playing with my feelings like that, not that I like him. Oh. I want to come too. Inoue cried happily. Yuryu sighed, fine, I'm in. Inoue said, yay, and hugged him, making him blush. Renji's gaze flickered towards them, then at Tatsuki playing in the grounds. Come on, you have to come. Matsumoto said to Toshiro, who said, not in this life. Renji, who seemed to have woken up from his own world, and said in a dazed voice, I'm coming. Then he looked at Toshiro, for a change, Hitsu, come along. It's Hitsugaya Toshiro. By the end of lunch, we had him convinced. He should also suffer with us, it was only fair. Ichigo and I were walking back home, and I wasn't talking to him. Oh, Rukia, all of us will be there. You need a change of things, to enjoy after that fever and everything, he said, frustrated, please, talk to me now. You started it. I said angrily, do you know, Ichigo Kurosaki, that I'm legally underage to go drinking? And I have vowed to not touch alcohol in this life. That is a boring a life, he commented, which earned him a kick from him. What the hell am I supposed to do at a pub? Chill. Just have a cold drink or something, Ichigo suggested, no one's gonna force you to drink. Oh yeah? He doesn't Ranjiku at all, does he? Hey, I've sworn not to drink either. I'll be there to accompany you through the non-drunkenness. He said, grinning. And what? Things were you exactly going to tell them? I shrieked at him. What things? He asked innocently. You idiot. I yelled, fuming, and left him standing there, looking amused. I hate him. January 20th, 2011, Friday, 5:30 p.m. I can say something like I'm ill or something, if it wasn't for the fact that Ichigo is right next doors. I can, of course, slam the door shut on his face and tell him to sod off, if not for the fact that he'll tell everyone things about me. He's changed a lot though. He's begun to smile a lot more. Even if they are smirks or grins, they're still counted as smiles, right? I can't help but like him for that. His smile is really something. It warms me up. It's the most wonderful thing I've ever seen. Right now, he's knocking on my door so we can talk until Ranjaku and the others come to pick us up. I offered to lend my BMW, but Ranjaku said that if Wek drove while being drunk and by any case, crashed, then that would be really bad, because a crashed BMW would attract more attention than a normal crashed car. Of course, it doesn't matter whether my car crashes or not. It was almost scary when she said that, because it made it look like as if she knew we were going to crash, and was thinking of the best way to do so without getting into trouble. Man, I don't like this idea at all. I swear, if we die in a car crash tonight, I'm going to kill Ichigo. God DMN, that was fun. Yeah, okay, most of the things I did weren't exactly civil, or anything like me in any way. But I was drunk. Seems like a good enough excuse when you don't act like a human being. I was at least walking on my 2 feet. The entrance to the pub was something. The guards refused to let Hitsugaya in. We cannot let someone that underage. One of them said. Well, what can I say? I was just glad they hadn't assumed me as an elementary kid as well. For the first time in his life, Toshiro actually looked relieved to have someone thinking he was a child, and he was about to leave when Ranjaku stopped him. She had a weird expression on her face, and slowly she started to walk towards the guards, her heels clicking, her hair swaying and eyes dewy as she blinked rapidly at them. Oh man, she was actually seducing a guard. I knew that very minute that she was highly desperate and serious about getting us in and making us dead drunk, because Ranjaku never flirts with anyone until they give her, something in return. If you get my drift. Let me down. Hitsugaya was shouting, and I turned my gaze away to look at Rinji picking Toshiro up and marching inside the pub. I. The guard was stuttering as Ranjaku neared him. She looked ready for a photo shoot and twirled her strawberry blonde hair. You guys go on ahead. She smiled at us. I'll be back. Ichigo Kurosaki, make sure you have a lot of fun, because this is your last night alive, I hissed into Ichigo's ear, but I'm not sure whether he heard me, because there was a blast of loud DJ music as we entered. And this was supposed to be the town's newest pub. Apparently, I had been wrong in thinking it would not be too crowded. Teenagers were dancing, jumping, screaming, making out. It was wild. How do teenagers like these sort of stuff? The music wasn't that deafening, but they definitely were shouting all sorts of nonsense. And then there was even worse, when they weren't shouting nonsense and doing something else with those mouths. I almost got stamped on by the crowd, if it hadn't been for Ichigo, who held my wrist all along. Surprisingly, he looked good. It's very recent that I've started to notice these things. At first he used to be just the hopeless, hot, most popular guy at Karakura High with no brains. Now, he seemed the hot, most popular guy at Karakura High with brains. And not to mention, extremely good looks. Well, anyway, we sat down on the bar. I had no intentions of dancing. What if I got buried alive? For all I knew, it was possible. In my life, anyway. Hey, Rukia, will you dance with me? Came a voice behind me. To be honest, I thought it was Ichigo. And sort of hoped it would be. But it was Rinji. Ichigo did sit straight up and look sharply at us with fire in his eyes. What? He shot, slopping his Red Bull all over his shirt. Which was sad because he looked really nice in it. But now it stuck to him and showed his six-pack. Which was even better. That's when I forced myself to stop thinking nonsense. What the heck anyway? Rinji looked over at me pleadingly and I got up. Fine, let's dance. No, Rukia. You do not dance with him. Ichigo exclaimed, holding my wrist when I shook him off. Who the hell are you to decide what I do? I said and went off. Rinji, why are you exactly asking me to dance with you? I asked as we made our way to the dance floor. As far as I knew, it had always been Yuryu and Orihime, Ichigo and Rukia, Hitsugaya Ranjaku and Renji Tatsuki. Even if she was gone now, it didn't seem right to be with someone else's partner in crime. I don't know what the heck I am saying. Don't mind me. Ha! Ichigo is looking this way. Renji cried triumphantly. I looked over at the strawberry, who was glancing at us from second to second, looking obsessed with us. He's in love with you, Rukia. I pretended to not hear him. What else could I do? Oh gee, Renji, really? Because that's how I wanted to react. But sometimes, you can't react like you want to react because of the fear of looking like a complete lovelorn dork. What? I asked. Ichigo's in love with you. What? Ichigo is dash. Move over, hot shot. A guy with huge brown eyes and long dark hair pushed Renji away and looked at me, swirling me around. So, did it hurt? He called over the music. When? He twirled me and then, sort of, let me fall before catching my waist at the last moment and brought his face closer to mine. When you fell from heaven. He whispered. That was a lame pickup line. To me, anyway. And heaven? He thinks I'm from heaven. Well, I prefer Ichigo, who thinks I'm from hell. Oh, sod off. I shouted, pushing him away when a slurred voice came before me. I don't know about heaven, but it's gonna hurt friggin' bad after I'm done with you. A drunken Ichigo stood before me, staggering and glaring at the guy who had just picked up on me, and then, he pounced on him, punching his nose. Ichi dash. I made to shout angrily when Ranjaku, when did she return, grabbed me, poured down the contents of a huge glass down my throat, holding my mouth shut and pinching my nose tight. Gentlemen, break up. Gentlemen. Please stop. Or I will have TO call in security, a staff member cried. I was flailing around helplessly. I was not getting drunk, not that time, no way. I decided to rather die from choking rather than losing my dignity. I mean, who knew what I was going to do after the inexplicable effects of alcohol? Don't even glance at my Rukia. Ichigo yelled as he fought Renji and Toshiro, who were holding him back. He must have been really drunk. And his Rukia? Since when the hell did I become his Rukia? Come on, drink up. Ranjaku said into my ear. I had to swallow. I guess in the end, I didn't want to die choking in a pub watching my best friend fight for my love, wishing it was true. Well, yeah, it would have been very romantic of him if he'd meant those words, obviously. I don't know since when did I become such a girl. Well, back to the point, I had to drink it. So I gulped down the drink, and gagged. It was terrible. It burned my throat, my whole head was knocked over, and my world was spinning round and round and round and round and round and round. Kuchiki-san, hick, are you alright? Orihime, who was flushed, she was not embarrassed, but drunk, stood over me with magnified eyes, swaying slightly, and giggling. My headache was lightning, and I no, but I suddenly felt like doing that again, just for the sake of having that feeling that you're being hit by an asteroid when I gulp it down in one go. So I took a glass from a waiter passing by, and downed the whole glass without stopping. A reckless daring went through me. It felt, strangely light, and pleasant, even. Hey Ichigo. I am here. I waved frantically at Ichigo and he looked at me and a wide grin broke in his face as he ran towards me. Rukia, he cried happily. Inoue almost fell off her balance when some guy held her and then took one good look at her, eyes as wide as saucers, and disappeared somewhere with her. But I think I was too drunk to care as I jumped onto Ichigo and wrapped my arms around his neck as he lifted me off my feet. How's me favoritigal? He asked, his voice slurred. She's drunk. I giggled. That's when we kissed for the second time. I remember it oh so well. Yeah, we were drunk and didn't mean to do it. Not that we would not. The only thing clear to me is that I enjoyed it. Even more than the first one, possibly. Why is it that both the situations we kissed are in such a way that I can never tell whether he really means it or not? He pulled back, a lopsided grin on his face. So you wanna dance? Of course. And we did the tango, of all the dances. Everyone even made space for us to dance and clapped wildly when we whizzed around, me hanging onto him only by the shoulder as he swung me bridal style, then back to my feet, spinning, swirling, arching back, being lifted off the ground. It all was taking a toll on me, but I didn't really care. I was laughing too much, and it compensated with the feeling DMN dizzy and sick to the point of puking. Where did you learn to dance like that? I cried, laughing as he placed his arm at the base of my spine. I bent all the way back and he made a swerve, then brought me flying back to him. I'm Ichigo Kurosaki, remember? He grinned, eyes sparkling wildly. It's the only time I've seen his eyes show so much of emotions. I should get him drunk more often. Tango, baby. Renji's voice cheered through the crowd. 15 minutes later, Ichigo and I returned to the bar, panting, laughing, gasping for breath. My eyes had a fire in them. I knew it. Whatever that woman ordered I shouted at the bartender and pointed at Ranjiku's direction, who was dragging a random guy into a dark, shadowy corner of the pub. We want more. Renji was sitting on my left, looking drunkenly morose and playing with his stirrer. Hey, are you okay? I started to say when he flung his arms around me and started to bawl, Tatsuki. I don't know how many drinks he had, but I don't think he needed any more of them. I want my Tatsuki back. I'm sorry, I'll never tell you to wear skirts, I'll never make a comment on your dash. Hey, get off her. Ichigo cried, pushing Renji away from me and hugging me himself. Rukia, you know, I never had any person who liked me like you do. Thank you. Tatsuki, and Renji was hugging me too. There, don't cryyyy. I will fight away all your sorrows. Hush. I said happily, patting both of them on the back comfortingly. You make such a nice mother. Hitsugaya mumbled, sitting on top of the bar, cross-legged, looking at me with his glassy green eyes. May I join in dash? He asked, then swayed and fell off the bar onto the floor below, hitting Yuryu on the knees, resulting in all of his drink falling forward on me. Ishida uryu. I screamed and taking hold of my glass, splashed it on his face. Less than 10 minutes later, we were all drinking endlessly, throwing drinks at each other and laughing endlessly, not caring if we died. Even strangers joined us. I don't remember what happened after my 10th drink. Oh yeah, I went there. I just have a vague memory of making out with Ichigo. Well, it was fun while it lasted, and flirting endlessly with any guy I could see, and reciting Byakuya Nisama's plane crash to the bartender, and spending 45 minutes throwing up in the ladies' room. I guess the memory of the toilet bowl staring at my face will forever be etched on my mind. No wonder we got kicked out of the pub. After that, we hung around the entrance, trying to gatecrash, throwing empty bottles at it, until the guards threatened to get the police involved. We had no choice but to leave. I don't remember getting into Ranjiku's car for some reason though. I don't remember anything after that, actually. Only that I woke up the next day in my house, along with the rest of them, except Ranjiku wasn't to be seen anywhere. The first thing I did was rush to the bathroom and throw up. My head ached terribly, I felt like stabbing my skull. Well, that was the second thing I did, rushing to the bathroom. The first thing I did was gaze at Ichigo's calm, slightly flushed face as he lay next to me under the warm rug, sleeping peacefully. He looked just so cute. I have to admit, I have an exceptionally good sleep when I sleep next to him. We've gotten so used to it. Oh, for God's sake, my phone's been ringing like mad from the past hour, and it's always Ranjiku. 15 missed calls already. What is she calling me for? Which reminds me, she wasn't there with all of us when we woke up this morning, was she? I should better ask her where she went, although it's pretty obvious she'd have been at some guy's house getting laid. But, just in case. Guess I should pick up, it might be important. All in all, the night out last night wasn't that bad. Not bad at all. Ranjiku called to tell me what had happened to her last night. You guys were all drunk, even me, obviously, so I took a taxi, threw you all inside and gave the driver some money and your address, she piped in the phone. Which cost me 10 broken plates, a dining table that had been drooled on, a bathroom that stank of vomit, and a bedroom in which 2 of my friends screwed up. I think so. Anyway, I wasn't going to be a genius and open the door and witness it all. Let me explain. This morning after I woke up and was finally done with vomiting for half an hour, I came and found Renji sprawled on my dining table, and all the dinner plates, the flower vase, everything on the floor, broken to pieces. Renji, get the hell down. I shouted, louder than I wanted to. What dash? Renji woke up with a start and fell on the broken china pieces below. His arm got cut and he hissed at me for waking me up so nicely. I mumbled a sorry, and then saw Inoue coming, well, more like staggering, over to Renji and gasping at his bleeding wound. I'll treat it up right away, she said, blushing to the roots of her hair, and then went off, looking for the first aid box. Yuryu came out of my bedroom, flushed himself, his glasses askewed on his face and buttoning up the top of his shirt. He held his head and groaned. Well, he had nothing to complain, he had had a fun night with Miss Inoue, dead drunk and no boundaries. I never thought Inoue and Ishida would lose their virginity so early, but then, I had already witnessed something like this before when I had called Yuryu up some time ago, so it wasn't a surprise. But the shock of them doing it in my bedroom. Seriously, I have 3 bedrooms at my place, and from all of them, they find mine. I cannot sleep in the guest bedroom, the mattress is too hard, and the other bedroom doesn't have a bed, but instead just a mattress you have to spread on the floor. Like I could ever sleep like that. I'm not saying I'm spoiled, but I'm just not used to it. Ichigo tried spraying his deo on my bed to give it a change of smell and hopefully make it feel different. Now, my sheets, pillow, covers, everything, smell of him. Of course, now that we're back to our senses, we have started sleeping in our separate houses. And of course, I miss him being next to my bed, but now I smell his deo whenever I lay down, and it's a nice change. Hopefully, it'll slowly make me grow out of my habit of wanting to sleep next to him. And then Histogea came up and said, "DMN Ranjaku." And then ran off to throw up in my bathroom. It still stinks, no matter what I try to do it. Yes, DMN Ranjaku. Anyway, back to the phone call. Where did you go? I said into the phone. Hey, somebody needed to take the car, I couldn't leave it, I was just too drunk to stop at each and every house. Ranjaku said in a dull boring voice, when she piped up again, and said with all her energy, but anyway, it was all for the better, I guess. You see, I was caught drinking and driving. You were what? I shrieked, where are you now dash? Are you calling from the dash? You should have contacted me sooner dash. We can help dash. She had given me 15 missed calls, but that's not the point. Kuchiki, chill. Ranjaku said, I'm out of jail, happily lying in my bed. She must have paid the fine or been let out on bail, or something, because as far as I know, this was not the first or last time she had been caught drinking and driving. I wonder how she manages to get out. Oh wait, it's the voluptuous Ranjaku Matsumoto we're talking about. Yeah, how much did you pay? I asked. For all I knew, Ranjaku must have paid only around $30 on her after spending everything on drinks. What do you mean? She exclaimed, horrified. What? I had only asked her how much she had to pay to get out of prison. Of course I didn't pay, she said. Why, dash. Oh, Rukia, you're so cute when you're all innocent like this, she laughed, I just showed off more than they could handle, they couldn't possibly bear to holding such a gorgeous woman behind bars. Technically, she's still a teenager. Not like she's ever acted like one. Oh, forget about me, how was your time? Oh, wait, Rukia, I should tell you this, in case you don't know what happened the previous night dash, Ranjaku giggled, you and Ichigo were making out. Well, of course I remembered that. How could I ever forget? And Ishida and Inoue, God. Priceless, I should have had my camera on me. Ranjaku went into peals of laughter. You all were dead drunk. Every last one. Do you know Renji almost hooked up with every girl, thinking she was Tatsuki dash. It's cute how Renji is always faithful to Tatsuki, in such an unfaithful way. He practically made out with every girl at the pub, but only because he thought every one of them was Tatsuki. He was too drunk to notice. Yeah. I went awkwardly. I told Ichigo you both were kissing madly. I mean, you and him. He doesn't remember anything from last night. Can you believe it? You told him? What did he say? I exclaimed. Nothing, surprisingly. I mean, he mumbled, who cares, or, yeah, it was fun in the end, so whatever dash, but I couldn't hear him. He was so embarrassed. Well, what was I supposed to say about this? Rukia, do you like him? She asked me suddenly. What dash? What kind of a question is that? I said, alarmed. Oh, come on, I always thought you had something to hide, a secret romance, a passionate affair, and always hidden in the depths of dash. Who are you talking to? Suddenly came an Ichigo, of all the people, and I hung up suddenly. I don't, what are you? No, I mean, N01. I stammered and hung up quickly. Even so, I can't help wishing that Ichigo and I had something to hide. If you get my drift. Well. I guess it is time I realized it. I mean, it's been 1 month. I know it's not long enough for me to feel how I feel, but it's not exactly been a normal 1 month, has it? Because I think I'm in love with Ichigo. 23th January, 2011, Monday, 4:00 p.m. Tatsuki's acting really weird today. Actually, she's not thrown me one dirty look, which is weird. Throughout homeroom today she looked like she was in her own world. The teacher had to tell her thrice to wake the hell up. She didn't look sick either. More like troubled. I saw her collecting her stuff for the next class in the school corridors, and Grimjow came up to her and made to kiss her, but she just sort of pushed him away and said, not now, Ren, G Grimjow dash, she corrected herself, muttering. Don't think Grimjow, or me or Renji, who was there with me, didn't notice how she accidentally used Renji's name. Renji was amazed, and he looked so happy the whole day today. He kept on going, she said my name, she said my name, she said my name, take that, Grimjow. I sighed and punched him, shut up. During PE Tatsuki missed all the passes I gave her in football. For a change she actually didn't mind wanting to take my passes and playing together as a team, like she had been from the past so many days. But we still lost 15, still, I'm glad she's gotten to her senses. I can see her apology anytime now. Well, not really an apology, since she's not one to say sorry, but something like that. Right now, Inoue and I are cleaning the classrooms. Renji, Matsumoto, Toshiro, Yuryu and Ichigo are also on cleaning duty. It's funny how we all get cleaning duty on the same day almost every time, even when some of us are seniors, some juniors, and some in AP classes. Only Yuryu and Hitsugaya, actually, the rest of us are practically failing. Maybe except Inoue. After getting over with the cleaning, we're gonna go out for lunch and do the homework all together at my place. I'm planning on having Ranjaku scrub the toilet for me, it still stinks. Gods, what's wrong with Renji? He's out there staring at Tatsuki in the balcony which overlooks the school grounds. Tatsuki and her jock friends are practicing football. I don't know, since when she started football, she was always into judo and tennis, instead of cleaning up, and now he's shouting at me to come up there as fast as I can and see something. Now Inoue's also screaming her heads. Oh shit. Oh man. Oh my. Everything was so quick I could barely process things in my head. Renji was yelling at me to come up and look at this in the school grounds below us, and then Inoue was screaming her heads off and she tugged at my arm to make me stand up from where I was writing and see what was happening in the grounds through the window. My blood went cold as my eyes fell on what they had wanted me to see. Down in the grounds was Tatsuki, who was punching some friend of Grimjow's. Her face was contorted into a grimace and cheeks smeared with dirt. She looked more vulnerable than I've ever seen her. They were cornering her and tugging at her clothes, laughing mirthlessly. I could hear her shouting and yelling at them. What made me so angry was the fact that Grimmjow seemed completely unaffected. I mean, he's been allegedly dating her for the past at least 1-2 weeks, he's got to have softened up a little bit with her. But then, it's Grimmjow we're talking about here. I felt frozen to the ground. Grimmjow just then grabbed her by the waist and threw her against the fence without a care, leaning in front of her as she tried to forcefully push him off. He was lowering his lips, looking hungry and grinning. I couldn't believe this. I mean, yeah, Grimmjow and his friends are a little rowdy, but this was not rowdy, this was literally SXL harassment dash. Tatsuki is strong and everything, but there was no way she could take up 11 football players closing in on her. I jumped up, my jaw dropping as I joined Inoue near the window. I'm going to kill them. Renji yelled and raced down the stairs before I could stop him. Renji! I shouted, but he was gone. My head shot towards Inoue. Go find the others, and don't get yourself involved. I threw my diary away on top of my bag and ran after Renji, teeth gritted. Renji, stop. Don't do anything stupid. I yelled after him as I heard him shout Tatsuki's name. Well, partly I was desperate to reach the grounds and beat the crap out of Grimmjow and his jocks. Who the hell do they think they are messing around with Tatsuki like that? But he didn't listen. He's so much like Ichigo. He was just running blindly and didn't stop until he reached the game's grounds where Grimmjow's soccer gang were bullying Tatsuki. It was hard to see someone like Tatsuki get bullied. But she was putting up a hell of a fight. Not one of those 11 footballers had been able to do anything to her yet. Her clothes were a little disheveled, that's just about it, but now she was kind of getting tired and Grimmjow was taking advantage of that. Stop that, you bastard! Renji screamed as I reached the grounds, panting, doubled over. Grimmjow and the jocks turned slowly. Tatsuki was staring at both of us wide-eyed, her mouth agape. I guess she couldn't believe I had come to help her after everything she'd said about me to me. Her school uniform was all muddled up and her left sleeve was ripped. She was panting, and she had a deep gash on her right arm that was bleeding badly. She must have cut herself when Grimmjow had pushed her violently and she'd crashed on the broken fence at the end of the grounds. Renji, get out. I don't dash, she shouted at him, but he glared at her and went, I think you should shut up this time, Tatsuki, in a quiet voice. Renji, what is dash? Ichigo doubled over panting as he reached me. Yuryu and Toshiro were some paces away. He stared straight ahead, at Tatsuki, and seemed to have understood what was going on. Let her go, Grimmjow, he said in a small growl. Grimmjow just grabbed Tatsuki by the wrist roughly, smirking. Get your hands off me, dash. She punched him across the cheek hard, POW. I thought he broke a cheekbone. You. Grimmjow spat at her and raising his hand, slapped her with a loud crack. Stay in your limits, woman. That's when Renji lost himself, when he saw Grimmjow slap his ex-girlfriend. Don't do that to her. Ever. Renji shouted, beginning to punch him in the gut. Grimmjow's friends flung at Renji, who had grabbed Grimmjow around the waist and was kicking him in the stomach with his knee. I pushed one of his friends onto the ground and kicked him while Ichigo grabbed someone else. I am short, but don't underestimate me. I was turning out to be too much for the guy to handle. Partly because I was on top of him and was punching him so that he didn't have any chance whatsoever of hitting me, he was too busy defending himself. Renji was yelling hysterically. If no one else, I was sure he was going to get killed today. You think you're some random bastard who can touch her? You stay in your limits, Grimmjow. Hitsugaya and the others had joined us. I punched everyone I could get my hands on as Hitsugaya headbutted someone and grabbed their feet. Advantage of being short, you can reach almost any place without much difficulty, and Yuryu was hitting them with a racket. Within 5 minutes, a major fight had broke out. Everyone was yelling and I was being pushed and I was punching and hitting and kicking. I lost track of everything and everyone. Renji was still mad, and Ichigo was shouting at him to shut the F up and at the same time was taking on 3 of the footballers. One of the people suddenly caught my wrist in midair. "I must do you sometime, Kuchiki-san," he grinned, showing flossy teeth. "You're extremely violent, you know what I mean." "Not till I'm alive, a-hole," Ichigo shouted. I don't know where he came from. The next thing I knew, he'd caught the guy's arm and I kicked the guy in the stomach. Violence the right word, JRK. I spat at him as he sprawled on the dirt, and I turned just as someone else tackled Ichigo to the floor. It was so horrifying, I couldn't believe everything had gone so wrong in just 5 minutes. Renji was being hit by 2 of the guys, Ichigo had someone descending on him, Inoue was helping Tatsuki up, who had grabbed another racket and knocked someone out before she fell on her knees, Yuryu had someone punching him and he'd lost track of his glasses, Hitsugaya was cornered by some 3 guys, Ranjaku was grabbed by 2 and Grimmjow was lying on the ground looking on, smirking, as they hit Renji, wiping blood off his mouth. 2 of the footballers were on the ground, unconscious. The whole of the grounds were filled with clouds of dirt as people ran and hit and moved about. It was blinding, like as if there was a war. But what struck me was Ichigo. He looked like he had died, his nose and mouth were bleeding and he had hit his head right on the football goalpost. One guy was walking towards him, grinning, the same one who had tackled him down. That was what made my strength come back. I wanted to protect him. Stupid, I know. I was aware of someone running behind me, but I ran senselessly towards Ichigo until out of nowhere a leg kicked in front of me and the stud spikes dug right inside my forehead. I couldn't help it, the pain shot through my head, blinding and stinging uncontrollably, the blood was obscuring my vision, I cried out and fell to the ground, clutching my head, closing my eyes shut tightly. It hurt so much everything went spinning, my hands were filled with blood, and when I looked at it, it made me feel sick nauseating. I thought I'd die right there was so much blood. Inoue sent a blood-curdling scream as she ran towards me, but someone caught her hand and I couldn't look who. I knew Yuryu was on it by the way he yelled out in fury. I was too busy blinking away the tears that sprang up in my eyes due to the pain. Rukia! Ichigo cried, but just then Grimmjow stood up, taking advantage of Ichigo's momentary distraction and gave him a kick right in the stomach. "Oh, look who's with us, famous orange-head, heartthrob Ichigo Kurosaki." Grimmjow snickered, standing over him as Ichigo doubled over, clutching his stomach tight, spitting blood. I felt my head shoot up at Grimmjow's words and eyes widen at Ichigo in horror. "How does it feel, Kurosaki? To know someone stronger than you? You're just another popular hotshot," he spat and kicked him. Ichigo sat there, panting. Glaring up at Grimmjow, face contorted. "Ichigo." I was being kicked and thrown from here and there, Yuryu was flailing around helplessly without his glasses and Renji was busy hitting people madly. Out of the corner of my eyes I saw Inoue, who had been saved by a mad momentarily blind Yuryu flailing the racket around at the guy who had caught her, grab Ishida's glasses, run over to her boyfriend, and bang one guy with the racket Tatsuki handed to her. After that Inoue fell to the ground, shivering, and Matsumoto began to help her and Tatsuki walk away. Inoue tried to run at me but I shouted at her to get back. 7 were still up, and there were only 5 of us, not including Tatsuki, Matsumoto and Inoue. Ichigo. Hitsugaya was trying to distract Grimmjow so that Ichigo would have time to stand up for the very least. I managed to crawl up to Ichigo somehow, staggering. My forehead was still aching. "Rukia, you're hurt. Go to Inoue, and now," he panted, eyes shocked as he looked at me up close. "No. Yes dash. I'll take care of Grim dash." He stood up, holding his stomach, gritting his teeth. "Count me in." I stood up too, though I was wincing at the sudden aching dizziness shooting up and jumping up to my feet had caused me and looked at him with determined eyes. He looked back, just as Yuryu knocked another one out, and Renji did the same to 2. These people were big, believe me. Just then, Grimmjow punched Toshiro off him, and turned around to face us, and Ichigo nodded at me. "Hey Grimjow dash. Take this dash," he punched him across the face. Grimjow was thrown towards me and jumping up, I sent a kick straight at his jaw. He staggered back and hit the ground and I fell back towards the ground too, due to kicking so high, but Ichigo caught me and we both went down together. I opened my eyes and saw Hitsugaya, Yuryu, Renji, Matsumoto, and Tatsuki standing to shield us from the remaining 6. Inoue wasn't to be seen anywhere. I turned to look at Ichigo in the eyes from where we lay. Sticky blood covered my forehead. And his face wasn't exactly clean either, as he gazed back at me. It was as if the whole world went blank, and I got lost in his amber eyes. I thought that only happened in movies, but here I was, on top of him with his arms loosely around me as he rubbed my back gently. Man, I could do that forever. But Grimjow was getting on his feet, wiping his mouth and glaring at me with bloodshot eyes. Kuchiki. I couldn't fight anymore, I was tired. I knew we were done for, when suddenly. "What is going on?" came the horrified voice of Yukitake Jushiro, our school principal. That's when I realized that we were still in school, technically, and that the principal left the school 1 hour after everyone else did. Inoue must have informed him about what was going on in his office where he had been resting because he was ill, again. I looked around to realize that she hadn't been in a fight for a long time. She was running towards me, crying, as she came out of the school building. That's when I also realized how completely stupid I had been. Instead of running after Renji and forgetting everything and panicking, I could have used my head and gone to the principal. It would have saved so much of time in getting hurt. Looking at Ichigo's terrible state, how much in pain he was trying not to look, and how much the cut on my forehead hurt, I really regretted my impulsive action. So stupid of me. Well, still, I haven't been more glad to hear the principal's voice ever before than that time. "All of you, in my office, now," he barked at the conscious footballers and they shot us dirty and threatening looks, dragging their feet to the building. Grimjow looked like he would kill us if he was given a chance. That's when I realized that I was still on top of Ichigo, my fists on his chest. I could feel his six-pack, they made me blush, while he looked back into my eyes, like as if he had lost himself. He wasn't even blinking. I hurriedly got up and helped him up. "You look terrible, do you feel all right?" I asked anxiously, "Does it hurt?" He just raised his hand and wiped the blood on my forehead. "Are you okay?" he asked me softly. He looked pained, not pained as in his injuries, but pained to see my injuries as he examined my cut and brushed his fingers softly over it. "I'm sorry, Rukia, I couldn't protect you dash." I laughed, despite the blinding pain. "Oh, shut up. You need an ambulance." Yukitake-sir said, his face alarmed as he looked at me, Ichigo and Renji. We did look dead. A little better than minced meat, actually. "Come in the nurse room at once. We'll be calling the ambulance." "What in the world caused this to happen?" Tatsuki explained that when these people were playing football, Grimjow accidentally pulled Tatsuki's shirt up and tried to, do things to her. And when she tried to fight back, they started to gain on her forcefully. I wasn't really surprised. I knew Grimjow was the kind of person who'd do that. He's tried manipulating Inoue before too, but thankfully I was there, and Inoue, unlike Tatsuki, trusts me more than some random jock. Renji was boiling with anger. It took all of us, including Yukitake-sir, to stop him from racing back to Grimjow and beating the shit out of him. He was bleeding as it was. "Renji, I mean." Tatsuki then looked at me through a dirt-covered face. "Rukia, I was stupid, and I was a beach. I can't dash." I didn't want to hear her say sorry. I had never heard her say those words before, and I realized just then that I didn't want to hear her now either. "It's okay. You don't need to say anything else," I said, smiling a little, but that was mostly because I had felt Ichigo's arms snake around my waist and grip it tightly as he tried to balance his weight on both his feet and not fall. I caught him around the waist securely, smiling up at him. He's caught me so many times from falling before, it was my turn now. Renji, me, Ichigo and Tatsuki were taken to the hospital. I needed stitches, Ichigo had a mild concussion, Renji had a disfigured collarbone, and Tatsuki for a checkup, just to make sure there wasn't anything wrong. I haven't left the hospital though, I'm with Ichigo. He's lying in bed, sleeping deeply since the doctors told him to rest for a while. Well, there was not really any need of telling him, he dozed off the minute the doctor had finished looking at him. Then he'd woken up, I'd given him something to eat and he'd slept off again. The hospital staff are probably gonna make him stay the night, but if he becomes the Ichigo, then maybe they'll have to give in. If in any case he does stay the night, I'm not leaving this hospital until he wakes up tomorrow morning. Since I'm completely obsessed with sleeping next to him and watching him wake up, I guess I can take advantage of that. Grimmjow and his jocks have been expelled, Inoue and the others told us when they hurriedly came to visit and ask if we were fine. Yuryu and the others are fine, Ranjaku just got some cuts, Toshiro got a bruise and Yuryu sprained his ankle and had a black eye. Meanwhile, Tatsuki and Renji made up. Well, I think so, because they were kissing in the hospital cafeteria when I went there to get some food for Ichigo. They must have made up. Last time I checked, you kiss either because you like someone, or because someone is dying and you need to give them CPR. Renji looked very happy and Tatsuki seemed like she's finally gotten a part of her life back. Geez, those two are idiots. Yuryu said when I told them about it later when they came at around 7. Well, all's well that ends well. Orihime said happily. She didn't get hurt at all, apart from a scratch due to falling on the ground accidentally after slipping. I don't know how she manages to look so beautiful all the time even when she's fighting. Or trying to, anyway. Yuryu got up, I'm getting myself a coffee, anyone want one? I just looked back at Ichigo's bandaged face as he slept calmly. He looked so boyishly cute and innocent, I had to smile. And just when Yuryu passed by me, he said something softly in my ear so that I was the only one who heard him, something that's still ringing in my head. He said they are idiots, Rukia, but not more than you two. And he went off. I'm not an idiot, it's just that stupid Ichigo. If he doesn't realize he likes me then what's the point in me realizing that? Oh God, how can I even think he likes me? Well, he kissed me. Thrice. At his house, then when I'd not been feeling well, then at the club. Okay. Why can't he just tell me what he thinks about me so I can stop thinking about it? Idiot. Today was one of the perfect days of my life. I woke up at around 6, to a sleeping Ichigo, and a snowing sky. It's a surprise I woke up so early because I remember I had been awake till 1 in the morning, in case Ichigo woke up. It was still pretty dark outside and I could see the whole of Karakura town from that floor, cascaded in snow. It was amazing, everything was dark, even the hospital room was semi-dark. I found myself staring at Ichigo's calm, asleep face. I don't know what it is about him sleeping that turns me into such a sucker, but it's like that when he sleeps, he turns from an angry, scowling GUI.TOA child. He lay there on his stomach, snoring softly and gripping the edge of his blanket tightly. I couldn't help but smile. It's one of those rare moments when Ichigo lets all his guard down. I'm pretty sure Isshin has never paid attention to how cute his son looks while sleeping. I guess he's too busy punching and kicking Ichigo to wake him up. It's kind of sad, Isshin's missed the only childlike quality Ichigo has left in him. It was amazing, when I felt my lips curved upwards, and that warmth inside, even in the bitter cold. It felt nice to be smiling. Just looking at Ichigo. Like that made me realize how much I liked him. I got up, afraid my eyes bearing into his face might make him wake up, startled, and made my way downstairs to get myself a coffee. When I walked back into the door of his hospital room, I found him sitting up, rubbing his eyes and answering the nurse's questions. It's all right, I just he looked at me, and stopped answering the nurse and stared at me, that I thought you were back at your place. The doctor made you stay the night here? He asked, surprised. I laughed, no, stupid. Morning, by the way, I handed him my coffee, he looked so longingly at it, I couldn't not give it to him. Well, he wasn't able to drink it anyway. The nurse snatched away and said sharply, "No caffeine," and went off, talking about getting the doctor. I had 9 missed calls from Urahara, but I hadn't answered any of them. I figured I could make him suffer for a little time, just for the heck of it. "I stayed here, 'cause you looked sort of banged up. And well, I'm supposed to be your best friend." I shrugged. He looked at me closely when I said, "best friend," but what was I supposed to say? I mean, what did he want me to say? "How'd you feel?" I asked. He groaned, like I just died, then his head shot up. "Where's your bandage?" he asked me. "Oh dash," I looked away. "Come here," he ordered, and I neared him. The bandage had kept on obscuring the upper part of my vision, and it felt so pointless to have it there anyway, so I had cut it. The nurse had tried to bandage me again, but I hid under Ichigo's bed for half an hour. Go figure. When I neared his bed, Ichigo outstretched an arm and softly traced his fingers over the scar which they had stitched up. His finger felt so cool against my scar, and I looked at his attentive face, mouth slightly open and eyes focusing on my injury. "You okay?" he asked. "I'll live," I said, clearing my throat and pulling away. What else could I do? It was around 7 by the time he had gone through his health checkups and discharged from the hospital. He changed out of that awful hospital gown into the jeans, shirt and jacket I'd told Inoue to get from my house. Yeah, well, some of his clothes managed to make their way over to my place somehow. You should have seen the way Renji looked when I said that. Ichigo and I walked the snowy footpath, all the dry trees bordering the path. The cold made my skin go pink, and I hugged myself tightly, leaning onto Ichigo involuntarily. I took a deep breath, a wide smile plastered on my face. I couldn't help feeling that I hadn't felt this happy and smile-ish in a long, long time. "I'm sick of hospitals," he commented. I laughed. And then I imagined Ichigo in that sissy hospital gown that made him look like someone from the maternity ward, and I laughed even more. And then I imagined him walking with me with that gown flying in all directions due to the breeze and his teeth chattering and legs shivering, and well that I went on laughing. "What?" he asked, frowning. I shook my head and clutched my stomach, doubling over in laughter. Okay, so it wasn't that funny, but still. Suddenly I realized that the reason why I smile, why everything's suddenly right, and why I'm acting so unlike myself is some guy who has orange hair and whose name means strawberry. That can be funny. Well, that and the gown. Most of all, I was happy. It was like I had finally gotten something in my life that I hadn't even known I lacked. "Are you going to let me in on the joke?" he asked irritably. I'm sorry." I laughed, then straightened up and started to wake up, trying not to smile. What I didn't realize was that my hand had slipped in his, like as if it was the most natural thing in the world. And that he hadn't withdrawn, which is so unlike Ichigo. The snow melted on my skin and I looked up to find the sun rising. The rays hit the snowflakes, making every crystal sparkle in the light, and I just looked on, awestruck. It's winter, so the sunrise was late. "Wow," I said. "Yeah," he agreed, then looked at me to see my awestruck expression, my eyes glittering. "Wow." I don't know what that "wow" was for, the scenery or my face, so I just laughed and went, "What? You've never seen it snow while the sun rises?" "I have," he answered, and the next thing I knew, he was breathing softly in ear behind me. "But it's the first time it felt as beautiful as it looked," he whispered. I remembered him saying that before, but I didn't have time to ponder over things, because he had pulled at my arms, sending me flying towards him. Looking into my eyes, he leaned down. And finally, he kissed me. That I don't even know how to describe it. This warm happiness flooded in as I was enveloped in his arms. His right hand caressed my neck as he gently moved his lips against mine, and somehow my hand was ruffled in his orange hair. We stayed that way for a long time, just standing there on the spot wrapped in each other's arms. I was slightly lifted off the ground. Man. I can't believe it. It was eternity before we broke apart. His face was flushed. For the first time in my whole time knowing him, I saw a sparkle in his amber eyes as he gazed down at me. "Be my girlfriend?" he asked, all muffled, looking slightly embarrassed. I smiled. I wanted to say something cool like, "Kiss me again, and I might have an answer for you," or something along those lines like they do in movies, but I just said, "Sure, Strawberry." He let the nickname pass for the first time. The long walk back home was much short with him by my side. I felt beyond happy today, and when I returned home in the morning, I felt I owed my guitar a song, which I hadn't played for 7 months just due to the excuse that I hadn't been happy. So the first thing I did when I came back home was go to my storeroom. Somehow, I was actually glad of everything that happened. Everybody got a happy ending, including, surprisingly, to me. I got Ichigo. FOT the first time, I was glad I was Rukia Kuchiki, and not someone else who has normal interests like fashion designing and going chasing after cute boys and wearing heels. I am someone who's 4 feet 11 inches, a bad-tempered beach, rich, who loves to paint but only manages to ski cute chappy drawings standing to her liking, who yells at the ones she loves the most. Who, instead of bawling her head off in the night due to PMS, goes around making people lose their brain and their teeth. A stupid, awesome midget. And you know what? I think I'm fine with that. Hey, big guy I smiled, taking out my beloved guitar out of its dusty case. "It's time someone played you."